Welcome to the green room, people. Mostly Kayla. Here we are.
Hey, Kayla.
Kayla. So I realize there's a lot in common with Philip and Maurice Wolin. Because I mean, like in an A to Z sort of way. Because, I mean, Maurice was a doctor. Phil was on his way to becoming a doctor. Maurice liked to be called Marco, a little Latin flair. So there's that. And Phil liked to gamble. They do that in the Southwest. I think that's it.
That's it.
So what I'm saying is that's when we go live actually during the show and you go, why is he wearing that? I'll explain it. And then the whole reason why, because you're gonna go like, what? Probably. I don't know. Maybe you won't. I could have just wasted your time. For some reason today I'm ultra tired. Hoping to buck up my spirits. Maybe it's the sudden influx of heat, or maybe it's just being sleepy. Comes in waves. And this middle of the road homebrew that we're drinking is not doing the trick for me, so I'm just right there not being happy about it. And Philip is such a little bitch that I'm already not excited about dealing with his snotty little attitude. I think so.
Oh, Grand Amato.
Boston kid. Yeah. Hope you got your tickets, the coupons out of Publix. For the Monster Jam.
Monster Jam.
Grave Digger. Oh, man. One day I'll make it to one of those.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the actual Monster Jam. Either came or is coming to Tucson.
Well, not anytime in the near future. Elliot will have to be old enough to not flip his shit when there's loud noises. And he's not going to keep headphones on, so a lot of this stuff's on the back burner. But yeah, I wouldn't mind being like a hooting. Like, I might get my hair cut into a mullet. I'll drink exclusively Bud Light for the evening. I'll hoot and I'll holler and I'll whip my shirt off and I'll fling it over my head and shit. I'll say, Gravedigger! Ah!
Make sure you stream it on your phone too.
Yeah, I'll definitely stream it. People will love that shit.
Maybe we should watch another trading video and avoid snotty Philip.
So the thing is, like, it's not... Philip is not the reason for the season, if you know what I mean. The reason we are watching this is mostly because of the detectives and their hilarious handling of the situation, because I mean, obviously we'll get into it, but these guys aren't the best at what they do. Like, none of who we cover, I feel, are. We never cover anybody really stellar. They're either like softballs or numbskulls.
Yeah.
One day we'll do a good, like a really skilled master manipulator, as that term is like to be thrown around. But like that's what you could use in context of a good interrogator. Because they are manipulating the situation. And sometimes it's as easy as offering them a cigarette.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah, there's somebody out there, and I'm sorry I forget their name, but I follow a lot of true crime channels. They are like, the casual criminalist has a list of rules that you don't do. Like, you don't write down your crimes, you don't do this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. One guy is essentially doing that for the interrogation room, where like every interrogation room should have like a kit that'll have like a pack of smokes, some chips, like, you know, basic things. No, like that's not necessarily like snacks and stuff, but like things that you would put together. Like, everything needs a kit.
Yeah.
Allison Marie Armstrong. We have Philip Markoff. You buy any clothes or cars off of Craigslist here in the Boston area?
Boston.
In Boston. Yeah, so that's where we're going to go. But yeah, like, and it makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, we could do an entire show of making kits for situations. Because there are, like, true crime. There are murder kits.
Yeah.
There are kits for everything in perpetrating a crime. Why don't we use that tool in law enforcement? Like, have an interrogation kit where, like, and maybe even have, like, stuff like epinephrine if there's, like, an allergic reaction or whatever. They don't have to be, like, all goodies for the
just like
the perp.
Yeah, an emergency, we gotta figure something out, kit.
Clam chowder.
Chowder.
Chowder. I'll kill you. I'll kill all of you. Especially those of you in the jury.
I took a tour of the Red Sox baseball stadium when I lived back
Was there
east.
chowder there?
Probably. I got to walk on the Green Monster and sit at the Green Monster, which is like the big, way back where like the home runs go.
Is this like my A to Z story where, like, you met Philip Markoff at the Green Monster?
Yeah, he was totally there with a person that he met off of
and
Craigslist.
he had chowder in his lap?
Yep.
Whoa. Now it's all coming together. I see why we told that story. The fact that you met Philip Markoff, he had a big nose. I never met him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't live in Connecticut at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But you were there and you saw him.
Yeah.
Was he in the Philly Fanatics costume?
Totally.
And he's like, he pulled the head of the mascot up and he goes, shh, and he ran his thumb along his throat and he's like, if you ever tell anyone. And he put it back down and went to entertaining the crowd.
Yeah, that's how he made some of his money to pay back those loan sharks.
Yeah, he whispered in your ear, I'm Philip Markoff and I'll kill you. And he honked his crotch and went back to doing cartwheels.
Yeah.
I'm going to go kill another prostitute. I got gambling debts. Stab. I don't know. I don't remember. I was getting gas. I don't typically get gas at hotels. That'll come up. So,
we've been going for 8 minutes. Should we start the show before
8 minutes?
Yeah.
My God. Yeah, we should definitely start the show.
Way to not watch.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Dave, and this is FFOP Radio Live. I'm wearing a gambler's costume, as you can see. So you're probably thinking, like, well, yeah, gambling, but he lived in Boston. I have a Boston gambling costume. Hey, Matt Willis. I've got this. I've got my Dockers gambling hat. I've got my poncho. So I don't have a doctor's outfit either, so I couldn't do that. He was never in the military, nor was he a sailor, so I don't have any costumes for that. This is the best you got. Because part of our problem, Chris is here also, playing the part of the producer.
Yeah.
Part of our problem is the interrogation footage doesn't exist. This is going to be an audio recording, so I can show you a picture of a recording device, but we'll probably just be watching the slideshow or something. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at. There's no footage, but we've got the audio. And here's the thing: half of it is watching for the visual cues, which we're not going to get here. But Philip is such a snotty little bitch. I don't think it's going to matter. So, that being said, Chris has got some facts about the case if you need to be caught up. Because here's the thing. I'll sort of fill you in as we go piecemeal, because this case is wild and there's so many pieces. We're not going to get into his fiance's interview with the police, but I recommend that because it's a real life horrifying example of, like, the people you know are monsters. And then you get to, again, since it's just audio and not video, you hear her world crashing down around her as this whole thing happens. Cause she's like, no, Philip has money. Like, he's not a murderer. But by the time they're on the 8th still capture of the CCTV of the hotels he was in when he was committing his crime, she goes, What was he doing there? Just what was he, or where did you get this? To like, I don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah.
So
The whiny Brad.
yeah, he is and that's the thing. He's like a kid born with a silver spoon in his mouth, who, got super into gambling, and decided like the best way to make money to pay off those debts was to like shake down prostitutes on Craigslist.
Yeah. So
Not great.
allegedly.
Well, you can say what you want. He's dead. He killed himself. So.
I didn't want to spoil it, but he's dead. So
yeah, if you didn't know Phil was dead, like I feel like that's part and parcel of this case, though. Is like he got caught, was like in a holding cell for like 3.5 minutes, and they found him hanging from a bed sheet.
Yeah, he died by suicide in Boston's jail where he was awaiting trial. So he was suspected of 3 robberies, which included 1 murder. First was a Tricia Leffler, who was an escort. She was bound, gagged, and robbed at gunpoint April 10th, 2009 at Copley Place Hotel in Boston. Jalissa Brisman, who posted an ad on Craigslist offering massage services, was found dead April 14th, just 4 days later, at the Copley Marriott in Boston. And then the last one was Cynthia Melton, who was an exotic dancer offering lap dance services, was the victim of an attempted robbery 2 days later on April 16, 2009 at a Holiday Inn Express in Warwick, Rhode Island.
A lot of true crime is sort of hammering in the nails of reality to me personally anyway, because we all experience things like hotels, things in the public space that like everybody is using all the time, and it's a constant flux of people. You don't know what's going on in there because there's 900 rooms. They all have a lock and key. There's people moving in and out for the night, and you go, it's mostly wholesome, but like it's a, Philip's a fucking idiot. Like I wouldn't go to a 5-star hotel that definitely has cameras to do all my shit.
Right.
But that's part of the problem is that people like to confuse intelligence with maybe there needs to be another word for it, because I don't know what you would call it, because like being smart in like an academic sense, or like with mathematics or linguistics, like if you're really good at art history, it doesn't fucking matter what it is. If you can't function in society integrating with other humans, that's the problem. And that's Phil's problem. He was probably a pretty clever guy. Like he was going through medical school, for Christ's sake, right? Like doctors have to learn a lot of stuff. So I'm sure he had a lot of smarts. It's just when it came to impulse control and like
common sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you can't quantify something like true crime knowledge, like unless part of your intelligence or part of your book learning is forensics. Yeah, he did. He wore a hat. Sorry, you're right, Matt. He did a great job. He wore a fucking baseball cap that barely shaded his huge honker, and so yeah. Like, it was classic him. Like, that's the thing, right? If you have a very recognizable feature, you'd have to go way at it. Like me, I have a huge crooked nose. Like, I identify with Phil in that arena. And then I got this huge stash, right? So I would have to really go out of my way to change how and what I look like. But not Phil. He's like, you know what? Baseball cap in place. Check. 5-star motel. Check. Tons of cameras. Oh, double check. P.S. An electronic trail that leads right back to me interacting with these prostitutes online. Triple check. Philip Markoff, genius. Like, Leopold and Loeb get the posthumous reputation of the genius killers. I think we should rip that from their cold, dead hands and give it to Phil here, because Jesus Christ, what a brilliant man. So that's the thing. I'm gonna let you watch this slideshow of pictures so you have something to watch instead of just me in my costume. But yeah, here we go. Buckle up.
2:45 p.m. The speaker, Detective Dennis Harris of the Homicide Unit, and also present Detective Robert Kenny. The young man being interviewed here this afternoon is Mr. Philip. Would you pronounce and spell your last name, please?
Markoff, M-A-R-K-O-F-F.
Okay, and with that also, Philip, I'm going to produce you agreed to go on tape from the outset. So therefore, there's no need to fill out that form. But now I'm going to produce a Boston Police Department Miranda warning.
Police Department. So it's crazy to me that, like, this is, oh shit, I think 2009, 2011,
Yes.
somewhere.
He was arrested April 20th, 2009.
Okay, so yeah, 2009. I feel like 2009 is not. It's not like the 90s, right? We can give it like 3 Z snaps and be like, well, they don't have a camera. Number one, it's Boston, a major metropolis. Eastern Seaboard or not, like it's a big thing, and there's lots of money there. It's 2009. Why is there no video footage? Like, we should at least be in police stations. There should be at least at this point, 2009, like 480p and some sort of audio. But like, what we've got is this dude's personal recording and his like our journey through whatever.
Yeah, you think there would be something.
But yeah, and that's all we got is like these personal recordings, and we're spoiled for it today because like for Sarah Boone, we've got not only access to, because all this comes out in the public domain eventually in Florida anyway, but like all the body cam footage, the detective's personal audio recordings, all the interrogation footage. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Sheet. I advise you your rights. Right? Would you spell your first name, please?
P-H-I-L-I-P.
One L?
One L. Weird,
And
right?
spell your last name.
M-A-R-K-O-F-F.
I just spelled my last name.
Double F?
Yep.
Markoff.
Single
And
L,
what's your
double
address,
F.
please?
Markoff.
Do you want my local address?
Yes.
8 High Point Circle.
8 High Point.
Circle. Apartment 301.
And where is that?
Quincy.
Is it just me, or does like the sound of a pen hitting paper on like an uneasy or like an uneven desk like semi-comforting? I don't want to go like say it's ASMR or whatever, but it's like that is a familiar thing to me because growing up, I don't know if kids still use pens or have shitty desks. I assume they do, so I feel like that's universal.
Quincy.
And today's date is 4/20/09, and the time is 2:46 p.m. All right, Philip, before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Do you understand that? You have to respond so that
Yes, I understand.
Would you
I'm nodding.
place your initials in that space there?
I nodded yes, detective.
You can hang on to the pen there for a second. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law or other proceedings. You understand that?
Yeah.
You put your initials there, please.
Yeah.
Put your initials there, please. If you park your car,
You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any
Understand
questions
that?
and to have him or her with you during questions. You understand that?
Yep.
Place your initials there, please.
Oh my God. Just buckle up for this because there's going to be like a really annoying interchange about attorneys because Philip is, again, stupid when it comes to anything other than being a doctor. And who knows? Maybe he would have been a shitty doctor too. But, I kind of get it because like, he's, I don't want to tip my hand too early. Sorry, let's just keep going.
If you cannot afford a lawyer and you want one, a lawyer will be provided for you by the Commonwealth without cost to you. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Place your initials right there. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you will still have the right to stop answering at any time till you talk to a lawyer. Do you understand that, sir?
Yep.
You place your initials in that space. This next reads, let me see the pen for a second. I, there's a blank space. I've read and understand the above rights is explained to you by me. I'm going to print my name, Detective Harris.
Detective
I'm willing to
Harris.
make a statement at this time without a lawyer being present. Would you like to speak to us now relative to some questions we have to ask you?
No.
Depends what they're about.
It depends what they're about.
Well, it's up to yourself, and it's a decision you have to make.
Well, what's this about?
Well, it's about a series of incidents that have gone on.
What a hilarious. There's a gnat in here that's driving me crazy. But like, what a hilarious animal. It depends on what they're about.
It depends.
You're in a like the.
And they were he was apprehended while driving to Foxwoods with his fiance.
Yeah. Oh my god. I feel like they tagged him in a toll booth or whatever. I feel so bad for her because she legitimately feels like she was in the dark about it. And why wouldn't she be? Like, Phil kept his gambling addiction a total secret. Like, why wouldn't he keep these horrible crimes a secret? But like, oh man, like just imagine, because like totally blind. She had no idea about debt. Like, that could happen to anybody in any relationship, right? Like, if you're married and you're the person, who takes care of the money, you probably have a leg up on the person who doesn't, because you could run them into the ground if you're bad at it or you're intentional. And that's kind of what Phil did, is like, he's got all this, student loans and stuff, because that's what they're living on, is like student loans. And like, they're, since they're going to be doctors and be rich, if you listen to her her interview, she's totally cool with the fact that he took out $1 zillion worth of loans and they're just going to pay it back because they're both going to be rich at the end.
Doctors.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe.
What's up, Joe? So I get her mindset, but the thing is Phil loved the blackjack table or poker or whatever he loved and blew it all. And then some. So like, oh, Jesus, like, it's such a tragic situation.
We just have some questions. As you're well aware of, there's been some reports of some robberies and a homicide, and we've been following a ton of leads as a result of that stuff. And you're a person of interest at this point, and we'd like to speak to you relative to that.
Okay, maybe. Can you get me a lawyer then?
Can I get you a lawyer?
Yeah.
You have a right to get your lawyer yourself.
Okay, so that's the other thing. Like, really quick, he's like, yeah, get me a lawyer. And he says, no, you have to get your own lawyer. So this is kind of like a skeezy thing to do, because I don't know if he was free to go at this point or not, if he was under arrest. I'm murky about the details here, but like, if he was like, yeah, I want a lawyer, they should have been like, okay, shit, and stop. But what they're about to do is like, I don't know if it skirts it. Obviously, he went to jail, so it just feels like weird. It's Philip Markoff, Joe, from Boston, obviously.
Well, I don't know. I don't know where to get a lawyer from.
Yeah, is that your decision, that you'd rather have a lawyer than to speak with me?
I mean, yeah, I don't really know what this is about, but I probably should. I don't want to say something.
It's up to yourself. Is that your request, that you want a lawyer?
Sure, I mean, can you get me?
I love how he says, number one, it's up to yourself. That's up to yourself. You have to make for yourself. It's up to yourself, not up to you. But the fact that Phil is like, oh, yeah, can you get me one? And they're like, no, you got to get one. But like, anything, they're supposed to provide you with one. So the fact that he's like, no, you got to go get your own is kind of like.
Yeah. Won't be provided to you if you cannot afford a lawyer.
There are so many. Oh, God. There's footage out there of like people ignoring or skirting or like massaging this topic, right? Because it doesn't happen like on SVU where even the word lawyer floats in on a piece of paper from outside. They shut that shit down from coast to coast unless it's one of those like high tension episodes where Stabler's got to lay the smack down on some bitch. So, but again, like, they probably knew in their heart of hearts that, because like, who else looks like Philip Markoff walking through a Marriott?
You got me one?
Yeah,
Well,
Matt. Happened in Boston, but he was born in New York.
Yeah, and he was on his way to Connecticut. So since you fucking people on the East Coast live within literal spitting distance of each other, it's hard to keep shit straight. When shit happens in Arizona, you got to like drive for a day and a half before you can go somewhere else and be like, oh, I'm confused now.
Yeah.
But like, Phil can go from New York to Boston and Connecticut or Rhode Island or wherever the fuck. Spread out, people.
I have a perfect understanding what's going on. Would you like to have an attorney here today and then continue some questioning, or would you like to not to speak at all and get an attorney? Because, you can make a phone call, you can try to have an attorney here, and you can...
Spoiler alert, and I'm going to do this a lot. The reason why they win in the end, because I've heard this a lot, feigning ignorance. The reason why they win in the end is because, like, you know, Phil's a narcissist and he wants to get as much information as he can without, you know, the smart move would be to shut the fuck up and wait for a lawyer, because as he's on, like, Detective Harris is like, is that yourselves decision where you want a lawyer before you talk to us? A smart person would go, yeah, smart and educated in this arena. Someone would go, okay, yeah, definitely. Especially if you're Philip Markoff, you know you've robbed and killed. They're cops. They've read you your rights, and they say you want a lawyer. You go, yeah, I'll get one. You get me one, and then we'll talk. Something's got to happen before we talk. But the fact that he needs to be in control as much as he can of the information at hand is the only saving grace. And that's the reason why most of these people do this. Is like, if you're an idiot, but you think you're smart, you're going to go like, you know what? I don't need a lawyer. Even though the law, written out in plain English, takes up acres and acres of library footage, I think I could probably squeak by all right, because I'm Mr. Philip with 1L Markoff, 2 Fs.
I got this.
Go through the proceedings with an attorney present. If
From
that's your
Cahs.
wish.
Yes, I'd feel more comfortable with an attorney present if you could provide me with somebody.
One of your next rights is you have a right
Yeah,
to
you
make
got a
phone
lot of
call.
room.
We'll let you make a phone call, and if you want to try to find an attorney and have an attorney respond.
But hey, Arizona too. Like, that's the thing. We've got it all here in the States. You can live back east and be crammed like nut to gut next to your neighbor and be like, oh, what a wonderful life. And here I've got a huge house and a big yard and then a fence beyond that. And I still feel like the bitch next door is a little too close for comfort because she collects a lot of garbage. Sorry,
No, you
personal
could
gripe.
just have someone who does this.
We have an attorney that does this.
Or, you know, who's...
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I do know what you're trying to say. You want to consult with an attorney before we move forward. Is that correct?
Sure.
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 All right.
Detective Kenny, for the record, just so that it's clear, you're
Just so
asking
that's
us
clear.
to try to provide you an attorney. You don't have.
Yeah, I don't have a
an
lawyer.
attorney
I don't know where to get a lawyer.
And you absolutely don't want to talk to us unless you have an attorney before you talk to us. Because the thing of it is I'm going to be very frank with you. I'm sure you have some idea of what we're looking at here, right? You have some idea what we're talking about?
No, I'm
Not
not
really.
I'm Philip Markoff.
You live in the area and you've been watching the news?
I don't really watch the news.
Do you read the newspapers?
No.
Not at all?
2009. Who reads newspapers?
No, people my age.
People my age. He said.
Yeah, he's about to go into that.
He's
And
in med school.
I totally agree with him. A college-age kid in 2009 is not going to read the newspaper and not going to watch the evening news.
No, I haven't read the newspaper since I had to read the newspaper for like a school project.
Well, I mean, beyond the fact that like the paper was and still might be on its last gasp. Like, who gives a fuck, right? Like, if you're not a person who's involved in current events, this isn't even an age thing. Like, I've never been checked into my local anything because it's always like, who gives a flying fuck?
Yeah.
Like, if you're one of those people who like wants to be nosy and is like, oh, look who got arrested or this happened or there's a crime, yada, yada, yada. The big messages get out when need be.
Yeah.
But by and large, like a kid, especially like, come on, man, he's a fucking college kid.
I just don't really watch.
Because you don't watch the news, all right. Well,
All right.
the detective talked about it briefly, that there's a number of incidents that have happened in the area. Your physical description, and that you're a white male with light-colored hair, has triggered our interest in you to some certain extent. But as you can imagine, there's about probably 80,000 other people that are about your height,
About your weight, your hair
facial
color,
features, about your hair color.
Yeah.
about your giant ass
You're a person of
nose.
interest because of these things and some other things. We would like to talk to you about that, but we're not.
And that's how you get a fucking maybe not necessarily a narcissist, but like someone with an overinflated ego is like, you just give them breadcrumbs, and it doesn't take much, because when you tell someone they're smart, they start believing it, whether they are or they aren't. And that's the thing about it, is like, if someone is book smart, that's why I think we need to delineate these terms, because I have talked to a billion people in my life who claim the intelligence of a friend, coworker, family member, so on. And I go, yeah, but here's the thing. Like, if they can't bring a spoonful of soup to their mouth without spilling it all over themselves because they're so addle-brained in every other way except engineering or electrical design or interior this or math or yada yada, who cares? Like, I'm not, like, if we work together, I might put up with some foibles if you're incredible in a specific field of expertise. But, like, I'm not going to hang out with someone or associate with someone who is a complete nuisance because their only saving grace is like, oh, well, they went to college for business and they can run the hell out of an HR department. Great.
Joe's like, for context, the local news was blasting the Craigslist killer crimes on the news at the time. So while the newspaper is obviously not probable, he probably heard it on the news.
Right. And that's another thing with another problem rather with this is when something big happens, like, you know, we had the baseline killer, the whatever, we had local, when something is big enough, like, it's going to permeate. Like, because the busybodies who do watch the news are the aggregators who get the people who don't watch the news. Because they say, oh, did you hear about the blah? And if it's something that the general public cares about, like murders, Craigslist killers, you're going to prick your ears up. So then you don't have a leg to stand on when you go, I don't listen to the news or watch the paper. Bitch, people are afraid. People are buying guns and locking their doors because there are murderers about.
Right.
But
And
this is pretty early, technically.
I have a hard time justifying, yes, he killed a person, and that's terrible. I don't like the fact that he's been dubbed the Craigslist killer because it's not like he killed all three people. He robbed them and happens to kill one of them.
There have been an untold number of killers who use Craigslist.
Who don't get the name.
Yeah, who don't get the name, number one. And I don't know if Craigslist still exists. They probably still use it.
Right.
Because, like, here's the thing. Someone looking for a victim will look anywhere. The fact that the only reason he got dubbed it is because, like, it's 2009. Keep in mind.
Yeah.
2009. So the internet to the general public and, like, Dateline NBC watching crowd are like, oh, the internet, that's like a boogeyman factory. So, like, when, you know, Stone Phillips's equivalent is looking for an angle to sell this story or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's all
Craigslist
for publicity.
is, like, brand new.
Yeah.
Like, remember when the TCAP was called Dangerous Web? Like, so to the average, you know, middle American undecided yokel, like, what's Craigslist?
Yeah.
And wait, Craigslist is a thing and someone's killing somebody on it? Yikes.
We're not going to talk to you if you insist on having an attorney there.
What are the other things?
Well, until we get through this format, we can't talk to you about anything.
Okay, well.
But we have to make sure that your rights, I mean, we're going to be zealous in making sure that your rights are preserved.
All right.
That is our obligation to the law and our obligation to you.
Can't be the Craigslist killer. What killed Craigslist is whoever took the personal space. Oh yeah, when Craigslist could no longer offer, like, prostitution, you know.
Poker was his game of choice, Matt.
Yeah, which is like
probably the worst one if you're going to become addicted to gambling.
Well, you know, it's a like the house wins. Like, that's a saying, not for fucking nothing. So. But that's the thing, too. You can be a skilled player at certain things. It's just
look at Mark Maxey.
Mark Maxey, for instance, like that. He came to mind because, like, he's a really good poker player. Yeah. But if you're not good, hello, like, that's the a gambling addiction doesn't mean you're good at it, right?
No.
Like, Mark Maxey can go to a competition and use his skills that he has acquired over a number of years and umpteen zillion experiences to come out fair to middling to top.
Yeah.
If you're Philip Markoff and you're just addicted to the rush of throwing money on a table and that like strange alluring smell of like stale alcohol and cigarette butts in an overly perfumed carpet, which I'll be honest, I enjoy that smell. It's an intoxicating aroma.
Yeah.
And every time I go through a casino, I am taken by it.
I mean, but like, you don't have to stick to one game. If you're addicted to doing the gambling,
Well, it
try
doesn't
other
matter.
stuff.
If you're not, you have to stick to one game though, because you need to develop skill. You like blackjack, poker, pie gow, any of that shit. You need to sit and play and develop a strategy and be good at it.
He just didn't get that far.
No, yeah, that's the thing. It's like when you're addicted to gambling, anything will do.
Yeah.
Because the idiot in you is like, oh boy, money for nothing because gambling doesn't take work.
Yeah.
But the fuck it doesn't, bitch.
We're going to be
So I would
zealous in
like
protecting
for you
your
to provide
rights
me
as they
with an
proceed to
attorney.
potentially
We're not going
violate
to
his
provide you
rights.
an attorney. We'll allow you to make a phone call and you can inquire, okay?
It says you'll provide me with one.
Well, that's a process, sir, as that says there. Like, if in fact you end up
He
in
is
the
proving
course-
them
If you were in the
wrong,
and the
Right,
courts
but-
found you-
which could have
Well,
led
he's
to a
not,
mistrial.
he's not proving them wrong. He's just saying, hey, I want a lawyer right now. Because he thinks that there's a room in the back full of lawyers, and then go, hey,
you.
Sanderson, you're fucking up. And he goes, all right, and runs some Brill cream through his hair. He thinks that they can just pull a lawyer and they can just solve this right now. And they're like, no, it's a process, so you're going to have to, essentially they're implying, they're not being explicit, they're implying you'll have to leave, we'll get this process going, then we'll get there. But because they've already planted the seeds of your description, your hair color, and other things, Phil, the hook is set. Like, he is a tuna that is, going to make the highlight reel of Wicked Tuna because he's sunk.
I don't know. I guess I just don't like how they're doing that.
Right, but
I mean, whatever. It's doesn't
they're-
matter. He's
just
dead.
because it's just because we say it's cool that a policeman can lie to you and manipulate you just like any other person can, doesn't mean it's any less or more scummy than when like Phil does it.
you're indigent, then they would provide you with an attorney. That's in a different proceeding. This right now, you're, like, number one, you're not under arrest, correct?
But you said I could have a lawyer for this.
Well, the form is you have a right to an attorney, okay? We don't actually give people attorneys. You can hire an attorney to move forward. Or at some point, if you were arrested...
I don't think I can afford an attorney.
So just bullshit, number one. But number two, I know this is a diversion, but when you picture this detective, what do you see in your head? Because we don't have access to the footage. And I'm going to tell you what I see, and it's 100% right, because I don't know what he looks like. He's a dude. He's tall, sort of lanky. He's got a short sleeve button up, like not white. It's like cream color because he feels like white gets dirty too quickly, and he feels like cream or yellow or canary or something hides a lot of stains better. Mm-hmm. So he's got that. He's got a nice like brown, not necessarily silk, but like a shiny nylon, not a clip-on, but like a real tie. Brown slacks, a brown belt, maybe a gold or silver belt buckle, some sensible like dress shoes that are pretty well worn, not black but brown.
Why
like,
is he in all brown?
He's a detective who's on the streets. I guarantee he's got like because I'm only telling you how I picture him during this interview. When he's out on the streets, he probably has like, again, a brown sport coat, maybe with like accented elbow patches. Regardless, he's got a very thick but cropped mustache, right? Like if you've got a thick mustache, the police mustache is probably okay, but most people don't have the heft to carry it off.
Yeah.
Like if I were to carve mine down into something that was acceptable by the police force, you'd probably get what we're getting with this guy. But then up top, he's got a cul-de-sac that's like 3/4 of a 4-house enclosure, you know what I mean? So not totally bald, but he still is. He doesn't have a comb over, right? But he's still, what he does have that is beyond the cul-de-sac, he still combs over. doesn't wear glasses, but he's got, he's constantly squinting, or maybe he's got some cheaters in his pocket, and, very dark, medium amount of arm hair. That's this guy.
Well, that phone calls could be made to a company, the public defender's office, and maybe they can make one available to you. However, you're not the deciding factor on whether or not you could afford an attorney. The courts are. But the bottom line, as far as this interview goes, Philip, so we're clear, is you have
the bottom line
to have an attorney with you while you're being questioned, if you so choose. Okay.
Okay.
Or you can shut down. You don't want to speak to us because you want to take advantage of one of your rights and get an attorney, and you can postpone this till another time. The way that works, if we're going to provide you with an attorney, we being the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, that means that there's a process in place if you were arrested.
Really quick, if you're still here, Joe, and I assume you are because I see you commenting, Massachusetts, like the term Commonwealth, we don't have that out here in the West. Like we've got counties, municipalities, states. Commonwealth seems to happen a lot back east, and I don't understand that. Is there a special, like the Commonwealth of Boston? Is it like because your laws predate your statehood? Just curious.
Brought before a court, and you tell the court that, hey, look, I can't afford an attorney and I want one. And it's at that point they'll either deem you indigent, where you absolutely, because of the information you provide them, cannot afford one, and they'll provide you with a public defender.
Which is crazy too, right? Because if you say, if you can't afford one, will be appointed to you. You, as a common person, wouldn't think like there's probably a bunch of people employed burning dozens of thousands of calories a day seeing if you qualify. Like, woof, that's what bureaucracy is, though, right? Like, if they say, well, if you can't afford a lawyer, it won't be appointed to you. Who decides who gets, the designation of affording a lawyer? That has to be somebody who gets paid by the government, right? Like, staggering.
Or if they find that you have the means,
it's probably a social worker,
family or other areas to
that's like hired by.
Maybe,
am I
but
muted still?
That social worker would be specialized in that, right? Like if you're a social worker, you'd probably work with kids or elderly or something, but you wouldn't jump from like verifying someone's income for whether or not they can afford a lawyer to being like, now we're handing out sandwiches to the elderly.
Well, no, I'm saying like am I muted still? Did you mute me and unmute me?
Yeah, there.
There's probably caseworkers or social workers that work directly with the police department, but that's it. Like that's probably part of their, I'm almost positive that that's a thing.
Okay.
I don't have an exact answer off the top of my head, but I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, I'm sure, because that's the thing. With everything back east, since you guys were the first whiteys on this country, a lot of your vernacular, I'm sure, extends from the British colonization, because before, by the time law and order got out here, it's like, states and this and that. But I'm sure it was like a commonwealth and the magistrate and all this other crazy shit. So,
an attorney, then they'll tell you to get an attorney before the next court date, to hire an attorney. So, but right now, we can see what's going on. If you want an attorney, that means we shut down.
But like, what a brilliant use of semantics, right? If someone thinks they're smart, just simply explaining to them the fact that it will be a hassle, they'll go, oh, my time is too valuable for that.
Yeah.
Like, Philip is not going to go like, oh, fuck. It takes calories? No. Ask me your questions.
Okay.
But I could stop at any time, right?
Well, that's another one of your rights. If you understand that,
we should play bingo for this, because I feel like Phil's a gold mine.
It's your right. You have
I was thinking about that earlier.
Tell me that, hey, look, I understand my rights fully, and I'm willing to talk to you, and I can stop at any time also. That's one of your rights.
So do you want me to fill this out?
Fill it out. And is that your understanding?
That's like a really... It means nothing. Like, you can stop at any time. But no one ever stops. Like, once you start, it's like fucking Pringles. Once you pop, the fun don't stop. Because once you start answering questions and that rapport is built, almost nobody will shut that shit down.
Right.
Because it would be socially awkward. Because now, this person, you're slowly moving from acquaintance to friend in a small pocket of your brain. Whatever, though, like that, it softens the blow of the fact that since we can't see this, obviously, what they've probably done is set Philip at the far end of the room with Detective Harris between him and the door, and Detective What's-His-Nuts, the other guy, close to him, cutting him off, or maybe his back's to the door. So there's something set up to where he's like prohibited from wanting to leave.
Yeah. So fun fact, at least in Arizona, there's a questionnaire for getting a public defender, and it can be examined by a judge or a court commissioner who will determine your financial ability to hire a lawyer yourself. If you're not financially capable, you'll be informed that you are eligible or not eligible for a public defender. Okay, well, I guess that's at least a little comforting that it's not like farmed out to a specialized department, like a third party or something. Because that totally feels like that's the thing. It doesn't feel uncharacteristic of what we've come to realize the government is, right? Like if they're like, hey, yeah, we've got every municipality has anywhere from 1 to 75 people depending on the population. In Florida, there's a $50 fee for an application to try and get a public defender. It could be a fee for every state for all I know, but I get it though. Like there are so many people committing crimes versus how many people want to catch, prosecute, and yada yada yada. Like the system is built on plea bargains. Yeah. Like the fact that Sarah Boone has been through 7 lawyers and written a zillion letters is like a complete aberration of the system, because they want you to plead out, get something lesser than, because here's the thing, it's probably just easier, and most of the people they catch aren't going to be like, I was falsely accused. These are like people that stole a 12-pack or shit like that, and nobody wants to sit through like the 7-Eleven bandit who stole just enough to become a felon.
Okay, just so we're clear, though, we're going on the record. You asked for
like, imagine sitting there and be like, in the jury, Exhibit A, the Slim Jim wrapper from that fateful day.
Attorney, Detective Kenny, just in terms of...
Well, from when you were saying unexplained to me, I thought like you would provide me with one.
Oh, yeah, we just don't give people attorneys.
Well, that's what I thought. Like,
I'm going to the Discord.
So. Okay, so the fact that you inquired about your
not anything that David thought.
Right,
at all.
I had an attorney waiting outside, and I let you speak to an attorney.
All right, well, if I were casting something, that's who I would...
Okay, your thoughts now is that you understand.
That's who I would choose.
I understand. If I want an attorney now, I have to get one myself.
Right. Or make a phone call.
Not for nothing, though. If you're... look up this guy. He's not a bad-looking dude. Like, he's not anything what I thought. Like, so I'm sure Phil is probably looking at him being like, okay, this probably looks like his dad. If you look at Detective Harris for the Phil Markoff case, he kind of looks like Phil himself. So maybe that might be another factor in how things proceeded. Because the character I described is more like a principal, which is why... I came up with that character is because Phil acts such like a snotty little bitch. It just feels like he's seeing someone that is a stereotypical caricature of authority. Yeah. But still, if I'm going to cast this, like do an AMC or an A&E or a Lifetime movie about this shit, I'm still going to cast the person I described because it's, better. Thematically satisfying and narratively appropriate.
Well,
Allison Marie Armstrong. LOL, how long did this dude been trying to get an attorney? One will not be appointed to you. Figure it out your damn self.
Yeah, spoiler alert. We're like 8 minutes in. Real-time footage of 49 minutes of real time. Really sorry.
Okay, but, I mean, that's what phone calls, and that's what there is advice out there for you to follow up on that. But before we move forward, Philip, you're clear of the fact that as you said, you're willing to speak and you know that right where you can shut down at any particular time?
Yeah, I know I can shut down at any time.
Okay, so you're aware of that, and you're aware of the way it works. That
I just want to hear what's going on, so you can
okay,
start.
but rather than for you to just to find out what this is all about, you're clear about your rights.
I know my rights.
You know your rights. Have you ever been advised of your rights in the past?
No.
No, this is the first time?
I believe so, yeah.
You've never had any interaction with the police before?
I used to be on a youth court, so I used to read rights.
Oh, you used to read rights?
When I was like 15.
Oh, yeah?
Here's the thing. I know the Miranda rights by heart, but maybe I'm a weirdo. When Phil, before the revelation that he was in youth court, and would definitely have memorized those things because like something you did every week or whatever at that age would be grilled into your brain. I know a lot of things I shouldn't because they're just fried in and the neurons are so encased in myelin, they'll be there 20 years after I die.
Yep. Me too.
So for Phil, it's the smart versus this nebulous. What is this quality that I'm talking about? And he doesn't fucking have it.
No.
Read rights to other people or just...
Yeah, it was a youth court.
What does that mean?
It's an alternative for family court for, youth.
Oh, youth court. I'm
youth
sorry,
court.
I didn't pick that up. I thought you said the youth court.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Youth court. So you're familiar with the rights then, right?
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
figured them out.
Yeah, can we continue,
What a
please?
snotty bitch. Like, I think we figured them out. Like, are you fucking kidding me, Phil? You're the one who's going to pull this fucking ass. I think we figured them out. After this 25-minute conversation of like, what, basically we broke it down to what is a lawyer at one point. Fuck.
Allison Marie Armstrong just saw the DK cartel pic. And she
Like
said, I'm
that?
sending that to Decon now. Holy shit, that the hair is flawless.
Dude, I already sent it to him. I sent it to him the second I sealed that image.
Yeah,
I
he's
sent it to
probably
him.
currently printing it as we speak.
I hope to God it ends up on a wall behind him.
As I alluded to early on about that, there's been a lot of stuff going on, and as a result of that stuff, there's been hundreds of tips coming in here. And if you haven't read the paper, you really don't have a clue as to what we're talking about.
No, I really don't read the paper or watch the news.
Okay, so I kind of want to. So, like, here in Arizona, when the baseline killer and the freeway shooters were active, like, those were at the same time. And it was probably big news all over the valley. I only learned about it a couple of years ago.
Really?
Yeah. But I was in high school at the time. Or shortly thereafter. I was either in high school or college. And so I get why Phil says that, because it's believable. Like, I didn't know that, oh my God, what's his name?
Starts with a G, right?
Gotro? No, I don't know his name. It's the guy who, the baseline killer, the guy who was running away with the bucket hat, who was like, I didn't do nothing. Like, he was running around killing people, and, not
Mark
wildly.
Godot.
Mark Godot. I was not wildly out of, what's his name? Phil's age bracket. I was like 18, 19, 20, around there. It's like, when was the baseline killer active? Was it around the same time? 2009?
2005, 2000, and June 2006.
6, 7? Okay. Classic TCAP years, 2006. So there you go. I was watching TCAP in 2006. Like, that supplanted but then again, like, I never went into Phoenix, so who knows how far local.
Right, that's true.
There's a million factors. So I can't be angry at either detective because I can get his point being like, everybody's talking about this. But I get Philip's point, even if he is a fucking liar, which he definitely is, of like, I have no fucking clue because I'm a cool dude who likes to drink Miller Lite at parties.
And was there another freeway killer back when the baseline killer was a thing? Because
because the freeway killer was two dudes. It was Jeff and...
Well, it was in 2015 that was the freeway shootings. Because I was living here. Because it was like the 101 killer.
The picture with Mike Tyson, right? I could swear to you on everything that is holy that the baseline killer and the freeway shooters were active. Maybe not they weren't called the freeway shooters.
Oh, okay.
Because they were on the freeway. There was a guy shooting on the freeway. The guys who were shooting in Phoenix were two meth heads who were like breaking every fucking rule, collecting clippings, getting caught on recording, and shooting people. Like,
okay.
I swear to you, it was the same as Mark Udo's time frame.
Okay, because the I-10 shootings was definitely not the same time.
Yeah, he totally does look like that, but I made him look like that, Allison Marie Armstrong, because he's a dark guy.
Yeah.
He runs a cartel.
So in the last week or two,
He wears
have you
eyeshadow.
heard anything about
That's why he's a
some stuff that's
mystery.
been going on in and around Boston regarding Craigslist?
Craigslist.
No, I really don't watch the news.
Okay, well, just let me give you a brief synopsis.
P.S. His colon probably squeezed tight enough to create a diamond if there was a piece of coal in it when he heard the word Craigslist, right? Even if you're not listening to the news, you know that you went on Craigslist to find your victims. And it's 2009.
We're doing that, okay? There's been a series of incidents, robberies of young girls in and around the Boston area.
Okay.
And as a result with that, the Boston Police Department and other agencies have asked the public for some help. They actually...
What's Joe saying? I can't read that. But it looks important.
Commonwealth is a term used by 4 of the 50 states of the United States in their full official state names. Commonwealth is a traditional English term used to describe political economy as having been founded for the common good.
Bingo. So yeah, I'm fucking right as usual. You know, a couple shots in the ceiling for old Dave. It definitely predates statehood. Like you were a Commonwealth and they were like, fuck you, the English. And they were like, but you know what? We like Commonwealth because it's got wealth in the title. Common we could do
We
without,
like
but wealth.
money.
State, what does that mean?
Surveillance photographs of people that they thought might be involved in this case.
Be
As a result
involved.
of that, asking the press for some help, it generated an awful lot of phone calls.
Awful lot
People
of
were saying, geez, I think the guy who
awful
lives
lot.
next door to me might be a person of interest. Somebody else is calling.
Every
I
white
work
guy
in
with
such and such a
light-colored
place,
hair.
and, this dude who comes in here every day, you know what it is. You know what I'm saying? So we are following up
Know what I'm saying, bro?
each and every lead that comes across the phones. I can tell you as I sit here, in my limited capacity, there's a photograph in one of the surveillance photographs, or a couple of the surveillance photographs, there's a strong likeness and image to yourself, Philip.
Okay.
One of the reasons why you're here.
Again, like if you're, because there are people who have faces who just blend into a crowd.
Yeah.
Back when I didn't have so much hair, people would say, you look like Ed Norton. It hasn't happened in a while because I've not kept up that look, and Ed Norton has fallen out of favor. But that's the thing. If you want to be someone like a Ted Bundy who looks normal but can craft a narrative afterwards of like a Casanova master manipulator, but like he was just a scuzzy looking dude with gross hair who worked a scheme that was eventually going to work out. We need to stop giving these people fucking these monikers of like the Casanova killer or the genius killers or this, that, or the other. Because when you break apart the case and get into it, you go, well, I mean, it's just a numbers game. Like when call centers in India ring up old people eventually when they get through their laundry list of people to call and they go, I would like to XYZ scam. Yeah, it's going to work.
So I was going to ask you, you live in Quincy. Do you frequent the Boston area at all?
I go to school there in Boston.
You go to school. What school you go to?
Thank
Boston
you.
University School.
Okay, and you live in Quincy. Do you
Also,
commute
Adam
back and
Levine when
forth?
he had short hair
Some
too.
days, yes.
Do you have do you have like a small circle of
All
friends?
right, sorry, not until you digress too much. But yeah, for like 10 solid years of my life when Ed Norton was in everything from American History X to Death to Smoochie, I worked at Home Depot, and I'm not shitting you. At least once, but as many as a dozen times a day, people would stop, squint at me, and go, you know what? You look like Edward Norton. And I would, like, I'm serious. It happens so much. I go, yeah, I get that a lot. It's going to be $37.85.
Friends that you associate with?
I don't really have too many friends since I live in Quincy. I moved there with my fiance.
Okay. And how long have you been at BU?
2 years.
Okay. And what's your fiance's name, Philip?
Megan.
Megan? No last
McAllister.
name? McAllister. Is she a Boston girl or?
No, she's from New York.
Adam Ladream.
Yes.
I can't believe you don't listen. And again, if you, what do you do? What are you focusing on in school?
Why
What's your
focus
career?
on? I don't believe you don't
I'm a
listen to the
medical
news.
student, so we're doing hematology
Fucking-
and oncology right now.
Yes, your balls deep in the books as well.
Yeah.
Balls deep.
Fucking hilarious. Your balls deep in the books. It's the dichotomy of the situation is no better outlined by contrast than this moment alone. Because he goes, "Hey man, you don't read the news, you read the newspaper, you don't watch the news." He's a young kid in college. He goes, "Oh, you don't watch the news?" But then he like tries to relate to him by saying balls deep in the books. Hey Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Have you ever been balls deep in the books? Let me know. What book? I'll rent it from the library.
Have you no understanding, nothing?
Oh yeah, sorry, Kayla. They only bought a box of nails and a single 2x4.
Seeing any press, anything in the news, anything?
I don't really. I
sensational
think like young people like me, we don't often watch I don't watch local news. I'm not from Boston.
Yeah, how
Who
old are
the
you?
fuck does?
23.
23. I guess I can relate to that.
Can
I
you?
kids myself that age, and as far as reading the papers and this, so I guess I can.
Then why? Like this is like a waste of interview.
Yeah, that's the thing. These detectives aren't great. But again, since they've been following him for a while. They've got the evidence basically enough to, I mean, he killed himself. So the case was not flimsy.
Right. And he was arrested 6 days after his last robbery.
Right. So that's the thing. It's like,
I think.
I don't want to badmouth these detectives, but it just feels like when the case is really strong, if they're an A-list detective, they'll turn in a JV performance. And if they don't care enough to send in the JV players, they're going to fumble a lot because they're JV. Balls deep in the books. Kicked out of Barnes and Noble. Wow. Well, at least it wasn't a Borders.
Let me tell you that there have been some incidents
R.I.P.
that you do match your description. Tell me this: have you ever been to some of the hotels downtown Boston?
I was balls deep with the DVDs at a Blockbuster once, and I got fucking banned for life. Motherfuckers.
No
Julie's
regrets.
the best.
Week or so.
Not in the past week.
Okay, before the past week, maybe 2 weeks.
Not in the
Would you
past
tell me
week
what-
because I just did it a week ago.
My dad and his wife were in Boston, maybe in February.
My dad,
and they stayed
his
at-
wife,
His wife.
And what hotel was that?
not a stepmom.
I don't remember.
People, and I get it too, because I do it too, like distancing close married or blood relatives by saying my dad's wife or like my brother's wife or my sister's husband or something like that.
If you hate somebody,
Yeah. It's so fun to be like my dad and his wife. Like, fuck you, bitch.
Remember, it's one of the ones near Prudential Center,
Yeah, Prudential Center. Is that the last time, Philip, that you were at a hotel?
I believe.
All right. Could you have been there like recently and just don't recall it? Or-
I could have like walked through the lobby.
Okay. Do you have
Why?
a memory of doing that recently?
I don't have a memory of it.
He'll tell
off the
you.
top of my head.
use the bathroom on your way
Okay.
to school.
So now at the 12-minute mark, we have reached the holding pattern of the interrogation, I'm sorry to say. So if this were a flight that were delayed by snow, what would happen was that they left Miami, headed for Akron, right? Fuck, 12 minutes in, they go, I don't have any clear memory of that. And so that's what we're going to do. At some point, if we go long enough, you'll hear the detective even parrot Phil's words and say, I know you probably don't have a clear memory of blank, but...
If you think for a second, is there a possibility that maybe you did do something like that?
Walk through the lobby?
Yeah.
Did you ever kill a
Maybe,
bitch?
I don't remember.
What would cause you, as a medical student from BU, to walk through a lobby?
As a medical student.
Well, the Prudential Center, isn't it connected to all the hotels?
There you go.
So that's to go from like walk through the Prudential Center.
Oh.
Don't you often walk through hotel lobbies?
Yeah, what hotel is connected to the...
This kind of feels like walking through like the strip on Vegas.
Yeah.
Because I I can walk through the Venetian or the Palazzo or any of those extravagant things and be like, whoa, and not necessarily have any business there.
Right. No. Yeah. I forgot that there was that the Prudential Center was a thing.
But I mean, by now they've already tied a lot of things together, so it's not like, so what do you do? Like, do you like the Hot Topic at the mall, Phil?
The Prudential Center, and I don't
really know him that well.
Well, do you have what brings you to the Prudential Center, if you don't mind?
I've been there a handful of times.
Yeah, is it just like coffee or shop at?
What brings you there a handful of times? That's
yeah.
not an answer.
What brings you down there?
All those reasons.
Yeah, all of those.
What were they?
But no
Restaurants.
one hotel jumps out at you as far as...
Not really.
Right. You do have a specific memory of being in one in that area when your mom and dad were in town?
Yeah, they were in one.
Okay.
Not
And
my mom,
where are
though.
your parents from?
My dad's wife.
Syracuse, New York.
Syracuse. Okay, and how long have you been in the Boston area? What year are you in at BU?
I'm finishing up my second year.
Your second year.
I already said that.
Have you lived at that Quincy address since then?
Since I started, no, I lived in South Boston, and then I moved to Quincy.
Yeah, Phil doesn't have a Boston.
No, he's from New
accent.
York.
Yeah.
And you can like that cop is obviously 100% from Boston,
Which is
born
why
and
I
raised.
love, like, this is one of the interrogations that I often go back to. Like, when I'm in the mood for raw interrogation footage, this, Federico Gondola, there's a guy, I can't remember his name, and he'll never come up on the show because he was responsible for the death of, like, I think she was 5, something like that. But there are some I just go back, and Christopher Fosmer, who I'll never do because his raw footage is 5 hours and his edited footage is 3.
So we have 17 episodes of.
Yeah, because like Fosmer has 5 hours of raw footage. Like, because real quick, you can find Philip Markoff, since it's audio only, on Susan Bond's channel, and also because we're listening to the Red Circle interrogation channel. But oh crap, what was I going with that? Moral of the story is, like, yeah, Fosmer is like 5 hours long because they leave him for 2 hours, 1 hour somewhere mixed, like, because they give him like McDonald's and they let him have a cigarette, and there's a bunch of shit that happens. But like, this is one of my favorites because it's the two things I want out of interrogation footage are a compelling and, what's the word? Not fulfilling, but a narrative that comes to a close where you go, aha, we did it, hooray! Like with what's his nuts from Florida who killed Naomi and dumped her in the river. I can't remember his name either. It'll never come up the channel because I don't touch kids. Or rather, I don't touch people's interrogation footage who murder kids.
Yep.
Shit, I forgot where I was going with that.
It's his accent that's compelling.
Yeah,
the detective.
Yeah. You want a narrative that is fulfilling and that comes to a closure, like there is a confession, or the characters involved are so compelling you have to watch.
Yeah, balls deep in books.
Yeah, this guy with his balls deep, or Sarah Boone with her unintentional, compelling characters. Scott in his silk shirt, and Chelsea with her pregnant belly, all compelling characters, not a narrative that is finished. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Joe says, for context, the hotel in question is attached to a large indoor mall that's also a subway station.
Yeah, but still, fucking idiot. Like, here's the thing. Low rent, or rather the low rent equivalent of this crime is going to Walmart to purchase your murder kit. There are cameras every 8 feet and on every register, including self-checkout, Joel Guy Jr., you fucking potato.
Well, and that's funny. It's funny that when Philip said, you know, like, oh, I haven't been there in the last week or so. Well, funny, this is 6 days after the last one, so obviously he hasn't allegedly done anything since then.
Right. So he's... That's the thing, we get to skirt the truth because, like... the criminals have no reason not to lie, and the police are allowed to lie. So here we are.
Is this your first time being involved at this? And I know you said you worked at the youth court. What do you think about being dragged in here on it?
I don't know. I was trying to figure out what was going on.
Okay.
If I were dragged in on allegations of robbery and murder, my answer would not be, I don't know what's going on.
I was on my way to the casino with my fiance.
I'd be like, this is fucked, but asterisk and caveat, the shock might just blow your mind and you might make all the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
And as you know, I mean, if you have some familiarization with the courts,
but Phil was a murderer.
It's an investigation. You know the unit you're in now. Did you see the sign when you walked in the door?
No.
It says the homicide unit, and I introduced myself as a homicide detective. So that tells you at least something.
Okay.
Something that we're talking some serious stuff.
Interesting.
Here, okay?
Homicide.
And
I only did that once.
And ever since going back to
I've heard of pesticide detective. Homicide. What is that? You kill homos? No, Phil. You fucking moron.
the OJ case, the sensationalism of the OJ case, which causes the public to respond.
The OJ case.
We're kind of like, we're at, a point where people call stuff in and we follow up on it.
They're called
regardless of what it is,
leads,
because
Philip.
In the
Leads.
courts, people will say, well, 45 phone calls. You
45.
followed up one or two of them. Why didn't you do them all? And I can tell you is that there's a strong likeliness to one of the photographs in the
Not likelihood, but likeliness.
surveillance photos, such as yourself. So I was just maybe hoping that you had some explanation. Say, if I gave you a date.
I love if I gave you a date, if I gave you a tie, if I gave you a... He throws that out. This interrogation footage is full of so many quotable... Like, if you're going to be one of those people who quotes things, Philip Markoff is one of the best.
A couple of weeks ago, if you were to tell me there's a reason why you were there and the person in the photograph was deemed to be you, then maybe you'd have a logical explanation for being in that area. But you don't seem to call to mind.
Well, I went out to eat at the Cheesecake Factory. That was maybe a couple weeks ago.
Not a sponsor. That's what's up, Tubes.
Which is right there. Do you remember the day that might have been?
I don't remember the day.
And I understand, because sometimes I don't even know that, what day of the week it is, what date it is now. But as far as going out to a restaurant, people might say, well, I like it there on Wednesday nights because they have a good special.
You're not even my type.
Do you happen to remember?
No, I don't go out to eat much. I went out with Megan and a couple friends. And we go shopping there sometimes, the Prudential Center.
All right, when you say, was that a couple of weeks ago?
I don't remember when it was.
You don't remember the day or anything? Like, I can imagine a BU...
Might have been 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
A BU medical student, if you just, maybe a Monday night is the night that you hit the books.
That's the thing. Okay. Something that I overlooked that he's now highlighting is if you have a reputation of being book smart, you can't play stupid later. Like Philip Markoff being like, oh, I don't know, that was like literally over 48 hours ago. That shit doesn't hold water if you are supposed to remember every fucking segment of the human body that we've sliced it into.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can remember a date. I don't know what date it is.
Not necessarily a date, but like he's asking general questions.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time you were at a hotel? That's not what is the duodenum for, right? It's not like, hey, he's an oncologist. There are probably a myriad of highly technical questions he could answer.
Mm-hmm. They don't have to do with murder.
Right. But I'm saying that's what works against you, is like you cannot tout yourself, or you cannot accept like, oh, I'm a smart guy, and then be like, oh, I don't know, like, oof, my memory.
Yeah, I just can't remember that a Tuesday.
Like, I work with doctors. They have to remember things. You can't be like, oh, I don't know, like it might be a cold or rectal cancer. I can't remember. I'll check the ICD-10 codes and get back to you.
I'll check the chart.
Can't work. Like, no.
Books out on Tuesday night, maybe you do the books in the gym. Maybe a Wednesday you're a little bit more available to
murder,
to get something.
rob.
It doesn't ring
Like,
a
let's say
bell.
you're $340,000 in debt and you were working away at that iceberg by ripping off $60 from a hooker on Craigslist at a time. Would you do that? Do you have a specific memory of that, Phil?
I don't
Does it
remember
sound
when
like
it was.
you?
It was probably a few weeks ago.
But you remember Megan and a couple of friends at the Cheesecake Factory?
Yeah.
Do you remember who the friends are that were with you?
Yeah.
And who was that?
Peter Keenan. And his
Peter
girl-
Keenan?
Yeah.
And who else?
His girlfriend, Yamin.
Yeah, man, Shui.
Shui. They're students in the class.
Could you spell her? Or she's a student, a medical
I
student?
I can't spell
Yeah,
her
man,
name.
what's her
so-
last name?
Shui.
Shui.
All right, what's, any idea? I see a little smile.
S-H-W-E.
If you're a fan of True Crime Loser, you'll know Yamin Shui.
I don't know if you're laughing at me because I wouldn't even take a shot at it. But,
Take a shot.
so no specific memory, huh?
I don't really remember.
I wouldn't remember what date I
There's a
went
couple
to
of
a
different
restaurant with people.
But that's the thing. It doesn't fucking matter. Here's the thing. If I said, hey, do you remember going to a restaurant with X, Y, and Z person on Tuesday? And you remember going to that restaurant with those people, but you didn't know what day it was? If you were not guilty of a crime, you go, yeah, but I don't remember what day.
Right.
You wouldn't go, I have no memory of interacting with those people or going to that restaurant, but I do frequent the Cheesecake Factory. Their menu,
Is
old
large.
reference, is as thick as a phone book.
Yeah.
What's that? I don't know.
Locations in the last few weeks. Couple of
It's as thick as a Lauren chat log.
Nice.
different hotels with this image and likeliness. Tall, white guy. good-looking
Likeliness.
kid, same color
Likeness.
hair,
Likeness.
Same
Doc-
frame, same
doctor.
structure.
Detective.
Detective.
Dr.
in some of these
Detective.
photographs. And, just as far as justifying why you're there, we're looking for some help so we can, move forward. But you can't bring to mind any specific.
So real quick, there are a lot of cases that involve interrogation footage where, because again, we're in that age where not only are cameras everywhere, not just in luxury hotels and banks, but literally everywhere, like Ring cameras, and it's just a thing. Like they've got, because if this happened in like 2023 and 2009, they'd have DNA, they'd have a million different things. But I mean, back in 2009, video evidence plus the digital footprint of him, because they're going to talk about his email addresses later. I keep bringing that up because I don't know if we're going to get to it. We're 17 minutes into this footage. I don't know. If you've got, again, maybe this plays to the poker player and it's thematic. But if you've got a winning hand, something that literally beats everything else, according to you, like you're confident, like maybe because again, if we're going to say they've got a digital footprint and compelling video footage, that might be like I don't know what hands in poker are.
A
Let's
royal
say
flush.
blackjack. Let's say you've got 18. And you're like, fuck yeah. And the dealer's got an ace. And you go, fuck. That shit. I got this. And your confidence can ruin you.
Yeah.
Like, are you familiar with, they say, the Westin Hotel? Do you
Which
know
one, the
where
Westin?
Yeah, the Westin.
I think I've heard of that. I think my brother stayed there.
Okay.
The Christian Weston Chandler Hotel?
Do you know when he may have stayed there?
Oh, it was a while ago, maybe a year ago or so.
Was there any
Would he have murdered
reason
anybody?
or anything at all to cause you to have been there in the last couple of weeks?
Like a murder
I mean, maybe if I
or
was walking through
robbery?
it.
Yeah. Well, can you call something to mind, Philip? What would have brought you in there to walk through it?
I'm not sure. I
You
mean,
can
I don't
place the
remember.
Westin. Can you picture the Westin now? Can you picture where it is? Strategically.
It's been like
located?
it's next to the Prudential Center, isn't it?
Yes. Well, if you're looking at the Prudential Center and the Cheesecake, say if you walked up Huntington Ave on the outside, the Cheesecake is on the left-hand side, and then moving forward straight inbound, the Westin would be up on your right-hand side. Can you picture it?
I guess it sounds familiar.
What a fucking bitch. I
guess. I'm
Sounds
23.
familiar.
Whatever.
This is going to be a local reference, but like growing up, I was intimately familiar with the Superstition Springs Mall. I don't know how long Phil has been in Boston. Probably long enough. If he's going to say, and he will if he hasn't already, that he haunts this place because he goes there for walks and it's like a place to...
Well, he's been a student at BU for 2 years. He started in South Boston and then moved to Quincy with his fiance.
So if he's going to be there for 2 years, let's give him a year grace period. Because like when I lived in Chicago, it took me a while to get acclimated to my surroundings and become familiar with stuff to get a haunt. A year, because 2 years is a long time. A year, let's say first year is a wash. A year is long enough. So to be like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you're either the dumbest person on the planet or so dedicated to studying that you should be bereft of a personality. And he's not either of those.
I think it connects to the Prudential Center.
Yeah, well,
because I think when my brother was staying there, I walked back and forth. I think there's a connection.
over the footbridge?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really remember.
Yeah, but you have no clear memory of being there in the last couple of weeks.
I don't remember. No.
It's already laying, like, this feels like reverse gaslighting. Phil is so good at just being a shitty little bitch that they're already having to soften the questions to preload them and be like, so you don't have any specific memory in the last 72 hours of blah, blah, blah.
No clear memory.
Now, there's another hotel down, moving closer to the Cheesecake Factory. The Marriott.
Okay.
Copley.
Picture that at all?
Yeah, I've eaten at the bar there.
Oh, the bar, what's the name of that place?
It's a sports bar.
Okay.
I watched a Red Sox playoff game with Yao Ming.
That's a great story there, Phil. We got a murder victim that we
Anyway.
fucking Red Sox. Yeah, go Sox, right? But fucking murder victim. Precedence.
Pizza.
Playoff game. So last year, was that the last time you were there?
At the bar?
Yeah.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Okay. I mean, could you have been
So you
there
remember
last
that
week
you
or
went
so?
to the bar last year.
I don't think I
Yeah, that's
You can't remember 6 days ago.
the thing. He's like, it's a huge red flag that you, what they call it, extremes in memory. If you can remember details of something, it's impossible to then say that you don't remember things further in the time stream with any less detail. You know what I mean?
I guess.
If you're, because the problem is the detectives, by and large, in interrogations are asking you to remember details in high stress situations, which are going to inadvertently, whether you want them to or not, implant cues because memories are tied to either emotion or repetition. So it's going to be impossible to be like, hey, I remember 14 years ago, I went to a cafe and had a sandwich and a medium fry, and I remember they didn't put enough salt on it, and I sent it back twice because they accidentally peppered it the first time and had to resalt it. Like, you can't tell any story of mundanity in any detail if you're going to be like, yeah, 6 days ago, no fucking clue.
Yeah.
I wasn't at Champions. I think it was Champions.
It's Champions, the name of the sports hub?
Yeah.
I mean, you were pretty
I
sharp
went there
kid.
with it a couple of times.
You were a pretty sharp kid, unless it's true the way it is on TV with medical students and stuff, you just flat out. I mean, it's only been a week or two. You don't have a memory of being there in the last week or so?
And no, I haven't really
I'm not a detective, but I already said that.
done anything last week.
Okay, so moving away from today, the 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th.
How about the 14th and the 10th and the
Doesn't help
16th?
you?
What about Friday the 13th? You ever see that movie series? Fucking awesome. Peaked it around the 4th. Fucking, but by Jason X, it was balls deep in the crazy.
No, I'm not.
And just trying to jog your memory at all. Tell me this, were you at a bar yesterday at a hotel? The 19th?
At a hotel?
Yeah.
No.
All right. You were at a bar, but not a hotel.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
I don't think I did anything yesterday.
Okay.
Megan came home. So.
And again, I'm just trying to help you.
I was with Megan last night.
And just looking for an
Megan came
understanding
home.
as to
So
the
was
way
she
these two
away?
Yeah, I think she was visiting her parents in New York. She had rather back problems. Jason X, you like that shit? Yeah, she had I want to say she had issues with her back, and so she was either going through surgery or some sort of physical therapy.
So she
And-
was gone, and this is when he.
Yeah, that's what works in this a little bit is like she would go back to her parents and also do some sort of medical treatment, which gave him the opportunity to
Right.
do such things. Because, like, again, if you've got someone like a fiance, a wife, a husband, or whoever, if you disappear for a long time, they're going to be like, what up with that?
Right. That's why I was wondering, like, where was she? But now I know.
Right, because like if I had when I was working as an electrician, I disappeared for a week. I could do that anytime I wanted, and I'd be
Right.
like, fuck you," because it's a lie.
Yeah.
But Phil doesn't have that.
Right. They go to
Luxury.
the same school, right?
Yeah, they go to the same school, and they live in
They
the same
live
apartment.
together.
I want to say,
Yeah, they live together.
Yeah.
That's why he moved to Quincy because he moved in with her.
Yeah.
People think that it's you or it could be you because of your likeness to these photographs.
Okay.
Real quick, Allison Brie Armstrong. Remember when the android's nipples fell off in Jason X?
Just trying to help jog your memory, so to speak. Yesterday is up. You didn't do anything yesterday. Yesterday
No, I was with
19th,
Megan.
18th.
I went out with Megan.
All right. Do you remember where you may have gone?
Yeah, we went to. It was off 24. Route 24.
Off
Next to the Olive Garden.
off Route 24 in Braintree,
No, in Stoughton.
Stoughton, the Olive Garden. in
There was
Stoughton.
it's a weird chain. It's a chain next to the Olive Garden.
I don't
Not Bugaboo Creek. It was one of those.
I don't
It's a
know.
barbecue place. It's
Bugaboo Creek. I love that name.
I would
It
kind
was
of
a
eat
chain.
there.
I don't get
Olive
out too
Garden
much.
was busy.
All right, I don't get out too much either, obviously. All right, move away from the 18th. Go to the day before that, the 17th.
I don't really remember what I was doing.
16th. Any
I don't
Was
remember what I
Robin.
was doing.
Yeah, like the date, like in question, like the murder. I've got a blank from like the 16th to the 15th and the 17th. I don't know. Nothing.
Everything
Nothing
from the
at all.
10th to the 16th is just a blur.
I'm Philip Markoff. I don't remember shit. Is there just really quiet?
No, I don't know.
Technical difficulties? Hold on.
Question mark? Where'd the sound go? Can you speed it up? Like go to like a
Well,
little
no,
bit
it's-
farther? Is it playing?
It's buffering. Sorry, people. We live in the sticks. I don't know how to fix that.
But we'd have to move.
Record today's date is April 20th,
Oh,
year
crap.
2009. The time is 2.
No sound yet.
That's. I don't know about this footage because
I wonder if it's.
Do you have what brings you to the Prudential Center, if you don't mind?
I've been there a handful of times. I don't really remember.
There's a couple of different locations in the last few weeks.
There we
couple
go.
of different hotels with this image and likeliness. Tall, white guy, good-looking kid, same color hair, same.
tall white guy, good-looking kid. That it's so funny the mechanisms that work on human psyches. Because if you appeal to someone's ego, they'll be so much easier to deal with, even if they're a murderer.
Yeah.
Like you go, hey, you're a tall, good-looking kid with blonde hair, and your nose isn't big. Are you a murderer? You go, oh well, the flattery will get you everywhere. Yes,
Yes.
I am a fucking murderer.
Frame, same
Sorry.
structure as yourself in some of these photographs. And, just as far as justifying why you're there, we're looking for some help so we can, move forward. But you can't.
That's the. There are levels of interrogation where they can imply they know a lot about you, or they can explicitly tell you. So if they can say, or whether if they will say, is there any reason on such and such date you were blah, 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 blah. They're implying that they know already that you were at this location on this date. But the way they're phrasing it means they know as a gut, but not for fact. So when they say, is there any reason, that means they have a hunch, but they don't know for sure. But in this case, they're saying we're looking for justification. It's not a hunch. They've got bulletproof evidence. Like Phil looks like, look up Phil. He looks like someone you'd see on a camera and go, that's Philip Markoff.
Yeah, I looked up his picture before.
So the fact that they're like, what, that they're beyond the, is there any reason that, and we're securely in the camp of, we're just looking for justification for.
Yeah.
It may not seem like much, but in the true crime world, it is like it speaks volumes. It's exponential.
Yeah, you're not going home.
You're going from like, hey, you can talk yourself into jail or prison if we play our cards right with the, is there any reason? With the, we're always looking for justification means that like,
You're fucked.
as soon as you leave, there's a tote with your name on it that's been printed out by a brother label maker that contains shoes, 3 changes of clothing, and 2 pairs of underwear.
Yeah. Smile for the camera.
Spread your cheeks and lift your
Like, are you
sack.
familiar with this?
You're going in,
Westin
Phil.
Hotel? Do you
Which
know
one, the
where
Westin?
Yeah, the Westin.
I think I've heard of it. I think my brother stayed there.
Okay.
Oh.
Do you know when he may have stayed there?
Oh, it was a while ago, maybe a year ago or so.
Was
Your
there
brother
any
Christopher
reason
Weston Markoff.
Anything at all to cause you to have been there in the last couple of weeks?
I mean, maybe if I was walking through it.
Yeah. Well, can you call something to mind, Philip? What would have brought you in there to walk through it?
I'm not sure.
You
I
can
don't
place the
remember.
Westin. Can you picture the Westin now? Can you picture where it is? You know, strategically.
It's been like
located?
it's next to the Prudential Center, isn't it?
Yes. Well, if you're looking at the Prudential Center and the cheesecake, say if you walked up Huntington Ave on the outside, the cheesecake is on the left-hand side, and then moving forward straight inbound.
Local references.
the
Sorry,
Westin would be
people.
up on your right-hand side. Can you picture it?
I guess it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I think it connects to the Prudential Center.
How about the Marriott?
Yeah,
Because I think when my brother was staying there, I walked back and forth. I think it's a connection.
Over the footbridge?
I guess
Yeah.
I don't really remember.
I don't know. Part of this feels incompetent, right? Because you go, the detectives have gained no information. We spent half of an entire lifetime talking about what lawyers are and whether you should have one or not. And where are we?
We're nowhere, and we've already watched this part. So we're still in the same place.
Seriously?
Yeah, we are. That's why I made this motion, because we already listened to this part.
Oh my God.
Because he walked to the Marriott, then he asked about the Marriott, then he had dinner with Yo Chi, whatever her name was. And
Yamin Shui.
yeah.
Yo Chi. How dare you? Yamin Shui.
he had dinner.
I don't know half of the TCAP alum, but I know Yamin Shui. You show respect when you talk about the Philip Markoff kid.
Well, he had dinner with her at a Champion Sports Bar 2 years ago or some bullshit, and last year.
The difficulties happen to everybody. Sorry. Joe can picture it, but Philip can't. And you know why? Yeah, but that's the thing. Okay. You can't put yourself in the mind of a criminal in the moment of confrontation. Because, I mean, people are liars, and there are varying degrees of believability on that scale. It just feels like Phil is putting zero effort into his lies. Like, it wouldn't...
No, he seems totally bored about everything.
No, yeah. No effort. He's bored. And he's here by the virtue of the tantalizing fact that they have this video evidence and other things. And he has, at 20 minutes into this 48-minute footage recording, he has yet to be like, okay, what have you got?
Right.
Everybody asks, not everybody, all the hilarious characters ask, what do you got? Can I see it?
Yeah.
Brent Christensen, when he was talking to the FBI and that local Illinois campus detective, can I see it? Brent, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because number one, unless they actually have it, they're not going to whip it out like Sarah Boone didn't have to ask.
Yeah.
If they have, if you can build a coffin with one nail, you bring that nail. That's why Scott and Chelsea phoned it in for Sarah. They had a single nail they knew that with one swing would finish the coffin.
Right. That was it. Like, they didn't even need her.
But with, I don't know, we're just in this, we're in a weird place. But since we don't know what they knew at the time, because here we go, hindsight is 2020, and we get to say, oh, nice job, Monday morning quarterback. And we get to make the jack off motion and be like, nice work, jackass.
Well, it was 6 days after the last robbery, so it wasn't like they didn't do their research.
Right. And we have the benefit of a dozen to 15 years after the fact and plenty of people breaking it down. But it does feel like, because you as a taxpayer and a guy who's like, or a lady who's like, yeah, I pay for that. Like, you want to be like, that's all you know? Is the dichotomy of being alive.
It's a barbecue place. It was a chain.
Okay, I don't get
Olive
out too
Garden was
much.
busy.
All right, I don't get out too much either, obviously. All right, move away from the 18th. Go the day before that, the 17th.
I don't really remember what I was doing.
16th? Any
I don't remember what I was
hotels?
Close to where we were?
bars?
Yeah, we're here. That's
Where?
it.
Well, kiss about
Well, we're going to get a room at
running
Foxwoods
really
tonight.
long.
Oh, you were going to Foxwoods?
Yeah, I booked
right?
a room tonight. Yeah.
Okay,
Foxwoods.
You booked a room down there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what hotel? Do you remember?
Foxwoods.
A nice
Hotel.
casino. I like Mohegan Sun
That's-
better.
That's
But
the name of it?
It's the MGM Grand.
Okay. Do you gamble?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
all the time.
23 and a half hours a day. Sometimes.
So I get discounts on hotel rooms.
Oh, not bad.
No bad.
I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
down there once. That's when it first opened.
Real quick, like they'll offer those like whatever member cards to literally anybody.
Yeah.
So when I was an electrician and going from town, like small town to small town, retrofitting all these banks with like high tech AC control units, every place had a casino, and we were there for no more than a week, and I had a wallet full of Parker, Arizona member club. All the casinos we ever stopped at, I had a wallet full of cards.
Yeah, and it's like you basically get one whenever you even like think about
Yeah.
staying.
If you spend more than 30 minutes at a table drinking more than 6 or 7 Greyhounds, they go, hey, you should be a Players Club card.
Okay.
And they open a drawer that has 1 billion of them in them, and they pull it out and they go, this is special for you, champ. And since you're drunk, you go, fuck yeah, pit boss. I love the smell of this place.
Thank you.
It opened up, and that was many years ago. That's why it didn't ring a bell when you said Foxwoods Hotel. But other than that, when was the last time you had a room that you booked a room?
That I booked a room?
Yeah.
I remember it was probably would have been at Foxwoods.
Would have been at Foxwoods recently?
Could be.
Yeah. When?
I don't remember.
Could
I go
be.
to Foxwoods a lot.
Could be, but I don't remember.
I gamble sometimes, but I go to Foxwoods a lot. To
This
do what else?
interrogation is if, like,
This guy is annoying.
say you don't know Philip Markoff, say you don't know law enforcement, but you're like a director or a movie producer, or maybe you're writing a book, and you were forced to stretch the concept of maybe, but I don't remember, into a full-fledged feature.
Yeah, it's like, what's that movie? I know this is a long stream, but what is that movie that Red Letter Media does? Born into Mafia. There's like 25 minutes of the dad and Vitaly being like, but I don't want to be in the mafia. He's like, well, you were born into it, but that's not what I want to do. Like, it's back and forth for like 40 minutes.
Yeah. Like I said, we're in a holding pattern of the I don't remember. Oh, you don't have a specific memory, but do you? No, I don't have a specific memory. Okay, next question. I know you probably don't have a specific memory, but blah, 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 blah. No, I don't.
Yeah, the detective said that Foxwoods at first didn't ring a bell to him, but he was there when it first opened back in the day.
Right, and that's the thing with you fucking people on the East Coast. I thought that Foxwoods was a major player. Like, I thought that the one murder happened at Foxwoods, but no. It was, they were on their way, Megan and Philip were on their way to Foxwoods.
Yep.
When they got yanked.
Yep.
Do you
Then
go
again,
there
it's
a lot?
2 casinos,
You gamble a lot?
I think.
I don't know where the lot is.
Yeah.
That means yes. Anytime somebody asks somebody whether it's... So, classic TCAP example, James Roush. Do you chat a lot? Catherine Reed of the Kentucky Bureau of Investigation asks, and Roush goes, what's a lot? And exactly. Like, to some people, 45 minutes is a lot of chatting with people online in a perverted manner. For others, 8 hours is a lot.
Yeah. And also, right, Joe, Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun are the 2 casinos that I know of out there, and they're both in Connecticut.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like every state has Native American held land that probably has casinos on it.
I don't know if Massachusetts does, but
Or
Joe would be
depending
the
on the
one to
state,
tell
like
us.
if you're in Nevada. But it feels like here, I haven't watched TV in a while, so based on my old timey knowledge of what the casinos are around here, like Auction, Gila River, Wild Horse Pass.
Oh, there's a whole bunch around us that have even like recently been being built, too, casino-wise here.
Right, so
There's
that's
a
the
new
thing.
one.
I don't.
Yeah.
Out here, we've got the land because, like, back in whatever day it was, I think maybe you and I went to Gila River, or I went to Gila River, one of the Indiana casinos out here.
Yeah.
Nothing special, but there are a dime a dozen out here. So I don't know what it is like back east.
Joe says there's some in Rhode Island and now 1 or 2 in Massachusetts. Yeah, so they're slowly bringing
Right.
them up on the East Coast. But here, yeah, like
It's a weird thing because, again, let's bring up Matt Willis. If you're in Australia, a long way is different from a long way in Arizona, which is different from a long way in Connecticut.
right.
Like,
It takes 90 minutes to get across Connecticut.
yeah, you can say a short drive in Australia is 6 hours. A short drive in Arizona is in 90 minutes. A short drive in Connecticut is 15 minutes because you're still in the same state.
Right. And you've gone through,
I go down there once
towns.
in a while. I wouldn't say a lot.
Once a week, once maybe a couple of days, once a month.
It varies.
Yeah. And do you oftentimes stay there, or you get what do they
I
call
stay
it?
there sometimes.
Yeah. What do they call it? The rooms there, comp rooms or something.
Well, I really don't get comp rooms. I'll get, like,
I
a
suck at
discount room.
poker.
So a lot of times if I go down there, I'll like
Yeah, they typically save, sorry, detective, to break character, but they typically save rooms for high rollers, not broke dick losers who come in with a bunch of daddy's money and student loans and lose it all.
Broke dick college students.
Yeah, they don't comp broke dick losers. They
No.
comp high rollers.
Yeah.
inquire about a room to see if they have any left.
What goes through your mind as I'm asking all these questions? I know you're a pretty bright kid. What goes through your mind? I know you said that you
Your balls are in the
understand what's
books all the
happening, you try
time.
to figure out what's going on.
So-
What's
so
going through
bright.
your mind? Do you have an understanding of what this is all about?
Yeah, I understand what you're telling.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I think I can understand.
And how we're following up on stuff. And in this homicide business and in these serious investigations, robbery, 99% of the time, investigators, we spend trying to prove who did not commit the crime as opposed to who did do the crime. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we spend an awful lot of our work. We have to cross our T's and dot our I's. And,
Dot our
especially
I's.
in a case like this where you reach out to the public and ask for help. It makes things a lot more tedious for us. And as you sit there, and somebody who's a person of interest because of the images and the likenesses on the surveillance footages, it kind of makes our job that much more difficult, And we appreciate your cooperation.
I want to point out again, we're spoiled because there are. I mean, if you follow a lot of the true crime channels on YouTube nowadays, a lot of them are pushing this. It feels like a theme of the age of technology where the detective comes in and goes, I got you. Like, okay, so what's his name? Jenkins. He was a crazy guy who scarred up his face and tattooed his face and stuff. He's like, I got you, man. I got you on video. I got your DNA. I got witnesses. Like, we're in a space and time where law enforcement has the ability to get things that were never available before. So we're in an age where you can walk into an interrogation room where before you would need to spend 2 hours of prep work,
Right.
4 hours of rapport building, 6 hours of breaking down. Nico Jenkins says, thank you. Nico Jenkins. I got Nico Jenkins, he says. I got him on video.
The
I got
Serpent
his
King.
DNA. Yeah, Serpent King with the fucking Jesus. Here was another show, maybe. But moral of the story is, yeah, like you get to, and 2009 was probably like right on the other side of that cutting edge where you couldn't do that. Like you couldn't walk into an interrogation room with balls as heavy as meteorites, flop them on the table and be like, check this shit out, bitch. Nico, I got your DNA. You're on tape. I got 7 witnesses. P.S. Google Earth, like their satellite was above the crime at the time. They happened to catch 47,000 images of it in high def. Because, like, when else would you be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
No other time would you be able to be could you, as a detective, walk in with 100% confidence? Even with Jim Smith and Colonel Russell Williams, they had him dead to rights. He still finessed the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
Because they needed him, because the gold standard, they needed him to go, yeah, I did it. But now they get to go like, I got you, Nico. I got your fucking DNA. And if they go, what's DNA? You go, you don't need to know, motherfucker.
You're done.
I got you.
But it's serious business. It's serious business. And I can tell you this, and as I've said homicide a couple of times, clearly you must think that it involves a murder.
Clearly.
I've also mentioned the word robbery, and it involves a robbery. And sometimes, Philip, when things happen, it's a pretty ugly situation. We don't mean them to happen. They may happen accidentally. But as kids, when we do something stupid or we start to...
Okay, so we're about to enter the cookie jar phase of the interrogation. It's a classic Reed technique, a lessening. So, hey, we didn't mean for it to happen. It was unintentional, circumstances, yada, yada, yada. It's a lessening of the price of admittance, right? We'll get to it, but maybe I'm touchy because I love metaphors. Don't confuse, especially if Philip is acting the fool and is playing the role of the titular moron. Don't then confuse him with metaphors because it's not going to go well.
I got your nose.
The time if some shit happens and it's ugly, it only makes things worse if you lie about it. So if you're afforded an opportunity to just be truthful and attempt to explain your side of the story, so to speak, it just makes things a lot easier.
Again, this is another example of the, it's not an if, would there be a reason? It's like, hey, man, we've got all this stuff. Explain it. That's the worst place to be in because I've seen a zillion hours of that type of footage where they go, okay, we've got this evidence and the strategy is there's no way you can explain it away. There's no way because the only thing that will happen in interrogation is it can and will be used against you. So you can't explain it away. But we still try. Whatever. I'm sorry. We're going so long. I apologize.
especially when you have complicated situations. When there's lies attached to it, it just kind of makes things really, that much more complicated. And it's difficult. It's difficult to rationalize, why things happened. And again, that's why it's kind of like for me to try and ask you to remember if you're in a hotel. Myself now in a limited capacity and, so much money. If I was at a hotel, that'd be something that.
Okay, the part B to that is you don't want to pull out the was it an accident until they at least admit to being at the scene. You don't want to be like, hey, was it an accident? Things happened. Things got heated. Well, we haven't even set him there. Like, in most of the interrogations I watch, the suspect admits to being there because oftentimes what you'll do is like, I was there, but I didn't do it, as like a lessening. They haven't even gotten him definitively that he was anywhere near the place at the time, according to his memory. So to pull this card, it feels like way too early. Like you're playing old maid. It's the first hand, and like you get big nuts and you go, I win. You can't.
Yeah, sure, I remember that. I was down at the Marriott just 3 nights ago. I was with a hot-looking girl. We had a couple of drinks, and I was trying to get a room or something. I mean, those are memories that we'd always have.
Always.
But to you, I mean, if you're going to Foxwoods all the time, maybe that's the explanation for why you can't call it to mind for not being there. But then again, if you're willing to work with me and try to figure out if you were there, that might explain why we're sitting here today. But if you sit there and you just have absolute positively no memory of being there, it just doesn't help things,
Well, I said I have no specific memory. I might have walked through there.
Yeah. But that's what I mean.
I've walked through there often.
Lies of omission are the most annoying. To say, oh my God, the chat's blowing up. What's going on there?
Kill says I wasn't there. Craig Boy Skyline says good to catch another live. This time it's me that has to bugger off straight away. I'm tempted to roll one and stay, but it's 5 a.m.
Oh shit, yeah, sorry boy. That's the thing about the world. It's a big place with a lot of time zones, so I apologize.
Was it an accident? No, gotcha, says Kayla.
Boy, oh boy.
Everything showed up at once.
I don't know specifically though.
So is there a possibility that you walked through there in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I said that.
Okay. But and I know you said that. But it should be a little bit more to it. What would cause you to walk through, say, the lobby of the Marriott? Just to see what's happening there, to see what's going on in the bar? Or
didn't they already answer that?
No, not really. Not really. Just a casual stroll through there.
Aren't they all? Don't you have to walk through all the hotel lobbies to get to places?
No, not
Don't they all cut through? That's what my understanding of the country.
No, not necessarily. I mean, the mall, and again,
I'm not really sure then.
Craig Boy Skyline says I meant to comment at the time here in Scotland we call arms like Sarah Boone's bingo wings.
Oh shit! Yeah. Oh my God, bingo wings is here too. Yeah, that has crossed the pond.
That was me waving my arms.
I first heard bingo wings from my cousin who played bingo at casinos, oddly enough, right?
That's funny.
I don't know them all.
Okay.
Bingo wings.
I mean,
there are the memories we'll cherish all our lives.
Yeah, those are the memories that, like, if we walk to a hotel lobby, those are the memories that we'll take to our graves, Philip. So the fact that you don't remember passing casually through the Marriott Copley, it raises, honestly, Philip, it raises some red flags, but I'm willing to sit here because you seem like a good guy. I would like to spend time with you. I would like to have a beer with you. Would you like some Famous Amos cookies?
Specific intention or direction or destination when you're in any of those places?
I was headed to the Hot Topic because I'm a fucking tool.
Casual stroll through those lobbies?
Sorry, Hot Topic shoppers.
Might explain why you were captured on a surveillance?
It could, I guess. I don't really know.
Well, tell me this. Do you have anything to do with Craigslist at all? Do you kind of like advertise or buy clothes or buy cars?
You buy clothes and buy cars. We made it. Woo!
Stream over.
Good night, everybody. Just kidding. But yeah, do you buy clothes or buy cars? Here's the thing. I spent probably 3 months of my life being in love with the Boston accent, looking up tutorials on YouTube on how to speak in a Boston accent in case the day ever arose.
And here we are.
And here we are. Did it work? Probably not.
It's pretty good.
Do anything like that on Craigslist?
Clothes or cars.
Well, I've looked at like for apartments and stuff.
Do you? Just recently?
I guess like a
Did you ever look for like prostitutes to rob and or murder in the Mariacopoli?
probably
Well.
I used Craigslist before to search for my old apartment.
To do what?
To search for my
Barnes
old
and
apartment.
Noble.
The one you're in now or the one prior to?
Fuck.
Or I don't know if I got it off Craigslist or some other list, but when I was searching, I used it.
While I'm thinking about this, what is your date of birth? I don't know that I asked you that at the outset, did I?
Didn't.
February 12th,
February 12th.
1986.
1986. And that's your address in Quincy. And what is your home phone number, please?
In Quincy?
Yes.
617.
Yeah.
4.
Where's your home, fucker? Like,
Bake Salmon, if you're listening, try and call his number,
call him.
Good one.
even though he's dead.
911.
He's dead. We can go be like, hey, is Philip Markoff's parents there? That's distasteful.
Oh,
And that's the hard line, or is that a cell phone?
hotline.
And do you have a
Hotline.
cell phone?
I do.
And what is your cell phone?
You got like one of those Nokias. You like playing Snake? Oh, fuck, bro. I love playing Snake. Fuck, bro. You see my high score? Pull out your Nokia. You see this changeable faceplate? Where the fuck is it? Oh my god, my Nokia's gone.
It might be down the bottom.
Oh no, I see it. It's on the camera. It's up there.
Oh,
Holy
I see
fuck.
it. Yeah.
Cell phone.
315
Thought I lost that bitch.
569 7753.
How am I gonna play Snake?
Now, do you have an email address?
Yeah.
And what is that?
None,
Phil.markoff@gmail.com.
Phil.murder.markoff at ikillbitches on Craigslist.gmail.murder. I mean, fuck. Philip.markoff at bu.org. .edu. Can you use the second one?
gmail.com.
What is it? I'm sorry?
Phil, Phil,
Yeah.
.markoff @gmail.com. And on my school email.
P.S. He's got a lot of email accounts that he uses for his online poker stuff.
Shocker.
And they know that. We'll get to it.
Is forwarded to that one too.
Will we?
What's your
Hopefully.
school email?
P.Markoff @bu.edu.
That's the only email addresses you have?
No, I have another one I used for playing internet poker.
Do what?
Oh,
For playing internet poker and
Internet
fantasy
poker.
baseball.
he'll bring up Pinochle later.
Did you stop by the food court to get some Auntie Annie's?
Oh, that's, yeah, he says, oh, you're more of a Wetzel's pretzel sort of man. I like to spend a little time on Tory looking at those fat chicks. Oh, yeah, I like to sink 7 inches in their fat asses. Am I right, Phil? Balls deep in them bitches. The books, I mean, sorry. Don't mean to break character.
All right, what's that one? Do you know?
That is, let me try to think.
Butter
I haven't used it in a
pretzel.
while. I played fantasy baseball last year. It's
Ich bin ein Bonliner.
like something stupid. It's my team's on steroids.
My team's on steroids.
He's got so many email addresses.
Any other emails or anything?
I've had like a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Let's see. I shot a prostitute in the face at hotmail.com.
They come and go. I had one for, I used to play Pinochle online.
There
It's
it is.
called Damn I'm Good at Pinochle at yahoo.com.
Nice.
Damn,
I'm good
I
at
don't-
Pinochle.
I don't
The hell
get
is
people
Pinochle?
who blow through email addresses. There are people that blow through email addresses for, whatever, the 30-day free trials of stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
I have had probably 6 over the course of my life.
And that includes my work emails. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably about 6.
I've had 6. 4 of them are still in active rotation. So the fact that Phil can be like, I love Pinochle at ISuckDick.com, or I shot a bitch in the face because I'm a fucking scumbag.com, or I lost all my student loans to playing online poker.com. Like, what the fuck? I don't
It's
want to say
free.
that it's like, I don't want to say it's a red flag because it shouldn't be, because some people just,
It's free emails.
right, that there might be a legitimate reason, but it's definitely a yellow flag. Like there's caution, but it's not a warning yet.
Yeah.
I'm good at Pinochle.
Yeah, I had one email address that my dad took over.
Unless it's like I sank it in the butt at Hotmail, and then you go, what?
Because that was his first email address. So one
What
of
was
his,
that?
I don't remember, was that Hotmail? I had it years ago and he was using it and he just,
Hotmail's hilarious because sometimes at my job, people will call and I say, okay, do you need any proof of our interaction emailed to you? And they'll sometimes throw me a Hotmail address and I go, whoa.
I've never had a Hotmail email.
That was one of the ones that fell off of one of the 6 that fell off.
My first email was sbcglobal.net.
Jesus Christ. If you're an OG internet user, you had an AOL possibly, but definitely a Yahoo. You've got a Gmail now.
Well, SBC Global was Yahoo.
Yeah, a Hotmail and if you're low rent and you predate the web internet clients, you have a Juno.
I never had Juno.
I have a Juno client to this day, bitch. Email me. I dare you.
Did you ever have one at
yeah,
live?
underscore Markoff.
At live.com?
Did you ever have one at shotadeadprostitute.com?
The Hotmail one.
Escort.
What was
They're
that?
called Escort.
Sorry.
I just said. It was
This was a massage therapist, actually, that was the one that died. Was a massage. She was offering massage services.
Right. Here's the thing. Shakespeare already said it, and probably better than I could ever put it. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Whether you're a prostitute, massage therapist, a sex worker, a lady of the evening, I mean, you're functionally the same thing, right? If you're working to milk a dude,
A massage therapist is completely different from an escort, prostitute, or sex worker.
sure. However, Philip Markoff went to Craigslist. He did not walk into a
Massage
Sandals
envy.
Day Spa. So,
Maybe they're just starting out as a massage therapist and they don't have a company yet.
Boston Bruins.
Is it? I don't know.
Go Sox.
Yeah, Green Giant.
Right, Philip? That's where Krista met Philip, was at the Green Giant.
Oh yeah,
It was
Joe
in the
probably
Philly
wasn't here yet.
Fanatics. You missed it, Joe. But Philip,
I got a
was
tour of the green
in
of the
the Philly
stadium.
Fanatics costume, gave Krista a tour of the big green, and then said, I'm a murderer, tell nobody, and said, he did this. I'll kill you. I'm Philip Markoff, but he pulled the Fanatics hat back down over his head.
It was probably around 2009 that I actually went on that tour of the stadium, to be
You could have
honest.
been killed if you were a prostitute in that area. Sorry,
And on Craigslist.
massage therapist.
Thank you, Allison.
Here's the thing. Massage therapy is the only type of therapist that will say, "Would you like me to jack you off at the end?"
That's only
Possibly.
some. Yeah.
Possibly. No other, like if you go to a
Allegedly.
psychoanalyst, they're going to be like, "Hey, I think we made some great progress here. You know, the walls you built up between you and society, and specifically you and your mother, are falling down.
Would you like
How
a
about a
happy
nice
ending?"
hand job?"
With that stuff myself. Do you think it is?
I'm not sure.
I wouldn't say no, depending on the person.
Well, they're two different servers, aren't they? Two different.
Well, Windows owns Hotmail. It's Microsoft Windows Hotmail.
Okay.
So many emails.
Windows owns Hotmail, detective. Do your research.
Gambling. You like to gamble, it sounds like. Pinochle, poker, into that.
Pinocchle's not gambling.
It's not.
Oh, I've never gambled. I didn't
They
gamble.
shouldn't.
You can gamble with anything if you want to.
No, they should not. You're correct.
So I don't know. Let's talk about Craigslist. When's the
Let's
last time
talk
you were on
about that.
Craigslist?
You ever buy any clothes at Cahs? I mean, I asked you earlier, but I never got
Have you ever had a sexy
I
massage?
never got a concrete answer about the clothes or the cars or the hand jobs you may have received as an interaction on Craigslist.
Hey, Allison gives me permission to slap you, apparently.
Hey, you're not in our Commonwealth, so it doesn't cross state lines or Commonwealth lines.
I do
Sorry.
not remember.
Do not- I mean, again, can we do that?
Was I on it 2 weeks ago, a month ago? I don't remember.
Could you have been? I mean, that's the next question.
I guess, yeah.
Not to bring her up again, but Sarah Boone did the same bullshit. Like, I don't know if it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago, give or take, this whole like timeline. Any port in a storm, but like if the thing is murder and it's like, were you there 2 weeks ago when the murder happened? Like, give or take. Like, you want to give yourself that? I might have been there the day before or the day after. I don't know. Ask the DNA.
Oh, Joe's killing me with these Boston accents. You ever go down to Foxwoods and play some Go Fish?
Oh, I go to the pie gow table. I say, hey, lady, give me a fucking Greyhound. I say, fucking put the fucking Red Sox game on and let me play my fucking game. I light up a Newport. I say, let her roll.
You know, a lot of times, Philip, and you got to bear with me, and it might sound stupid.
Lobster.
But, a lot of times we know the answers to the questions, but it's
He's right.
an opportunity
A lot of times they do know that.
be completely forthright with me, and just in the interest of helping to get this done.
And time.
Helping to clear your name, or to, as I said, we spend an awful lot of time trying to prove you did not commit the crime. So if you could work with me a little bit.
I'm trying to.
I know you are.
Are you?
I'm so.
When do you think was the
It's
last
hard.
time you
I don't remember.
I don't
Here's
know.
all my emails.
That was 6 days ago.
You have no idea.
I don't know.
I have no
Does that
memory.
indicate that it's been that long? That you just don't have a memory of it, or?
I'm not sure what that indicates.
I'm not sure about anything.
So if I was asked you,
Imagine walking into like Philip Markoff's oncology office and like the test results are in and Philip is sitting behind the desk. He's like, I'm not sure about anything.
But your PSA is very high. You might have prostate cancer, but you might also just have a urinary tract infection.
What do you mean? I need some concrete news about my prostate. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm headed down to Foxwoods.
He doesn't have a Boston accent. Remember that?
Sorry. I'm heading down to Foxwoods. I don't know. I don't remember if you have prostate cancer or not. I'm going to... I don't know.
Fantastic, but he forgot. Yeah, he forgets everything.
Surprisingly.
He's got too much medical knowledge in his brain to remember dates.
That's the thing. I don't know why. Because if you're going to feign a bad memory, for some reason, when the act is over and they ask you about something that isn't related to the crime, you have to remember. Because again, you're faking a bad memory. You're not forgetting that you're forgetting. You have to remember your memory is bad. So if they say, hey, when you went out to X place with Y person, what happened? You can't go, oh, well, we were at the Cheesecake Factory. I thumbed through the menu for about 45 minutes because it's roughly the size and weight of It by Stephen King. And so when I finally came across like the razzle dazzle lemonade as a drink, and then the, fuck you up the shit fettuccine that was on page 783. You can't do that. You have to have a bad memory from start to finish.
Yeah.
Or you have a great memory.
Or none.
Right.
Literally.
And I've seen both strategies because they can get in front of it. Because Phil's like, I don't remember, but I remember everything else before and after it.
Mm-hmm. Like Nancy Brophy.
Right. I don't say if you want to, but it seems better to me, logistically at least, to be like, I've got a great memory. Yes, I was in the area at the time. No, I was nowhere near the place. And so you can then later say, yeah, I've got a good memory. I was there. I didn't do it. And I remember it.
Yeah.
To go like 6 days ago was a blur, but 14 days ago, that's etched in stone, bitch.
Yeah, I went to the bar with that, what's her name?
Like fucking Spinal Tap came to my brain 14 days ago and hewn it into the living rock of Stonehenge that is my brain. 6 days ago, I don't have a fucking clue. 6?
what about yesterday?
I don't
That's
know.
less than 14.
I don't remember.
Okay. So, as far as that goes, now, have you had any problems that, with some females lately in any situation?
No.
Part of this.
When you're talking to a man who's robbed and killed females in the recent past, I can't think of a softer way to ask that question. If you were, because the question at its core is, have you robbed or murdered females in the last week to two? To be like, have you had any interactions, positive or negative, with human beings of the female gender who are cisgender, who happen to be in your area in this part of the country, traveling slower than an African swallow during migration? Have you had any interactions like that? Of course, Philip's going to be like, what?
This investigation involves some women who have been assaulted. And that's what caused the police to respond. And that's what caused us to, post some photographs looking for help.
To our Boston Commonwealth Police Department Facebook. Posted those photographs. Hey, like if you know the suspect. Heart if you're willing to become a confidential informant. Give me one of those angry faces if you like root beer floats.
Because it all started in some rooms. Now, being familiar with the courts, how old were you when you worked in the courts?
It wasn't really the courts. It was a local thing.
Okay. But I mean, you have some understanding.
That does answer
Dig
my
into
question.
that, right?
Huh?
Dig into that. Because, like, if you say junior ROTC, everyone knows what that is. He's saying junior court. I am still unfamiliar with that, despite the fact that detectives have now brought it up twice. I would say, did you, or maybe they know. Sorry, maybe I'm stupid. But I want to know, is that something like the junior ROTC or like a
I think it is. I think it's like a, because he mentioned it earlier, and obviously it was probably in New York because that's where he grew up.
But he's such a little fuckbag. I would buy that he went to family court because he did some fucked up shit. I've not looked into him because I don't care.
He said that's where they did.
Oh yeah,
their
'cause
rights
he read the rights
in the kids, the youth court, the family court stuff.
You know what? I'm going to tell you a quick story about court facsimiles. When I was going to church still, and I was in the youth group, I went on a retreat to the woods, and we put on a mock trial for Jesus. I took the prosecution side because it seemed only logical. And I lost the case. Do you know why? Not because my logic was not sound, not because my evidence wasn't impeccable, but because they were like, well, the Bible said. And so
So what was the point?
Despite your brilliant, they said this to me. They said, David, you're a brilliant legal mind. You're maybe the most brilliant mind this church has ever seen. You should really, try to pass that bar. We think you could do it. However, our religion and our beliefs are going to keep us from the logical conclusion that you have led us to. And I burned that church to the ground. I didn't really have it. The first part did, not the burning part.
Kid. In order to have the police
We're not getting through this whole interrogation.
No way. Where are we? We're 32 minutes into 48 minutes, and it's been 2 hours and 13 minutes. We're calling it 2.5 hours. It's crazy.
Some direction, and that causes the police to do stuff. And in some instances, such as
brilliant
ask for help,
to do stuff.
Looking for some identification. Is there anything along those lines where, and I know you don't have a specific memory, is there anything where you may have encountered a female in a hotel room and things may have gone awry?
No.
She would have been pissed off at you.
Did you bound or gag any ladies in a hotel room?
Yeah, did you happen to bring a gun and some zip ties, stick the gun in the lady's face? P.S. Her boyfriend / pimp was down in the lobby waiting for a text who then you scared off with your gun? Is this ringing a bell?
Anything, Philip?
I have no specific memory. I'm Philip Markoff.
Again, keep in mind, just some food for thought, Philip, is sometimes girls call the police if they feel they've been slighted and they may make stuff up.
Again, don't pull this card Like,
Is he blaming it on the victim?
well, yes, but that's beside the point. That's a common tactic. I want to make a gambling metaphor, but I'm not a gambler despite the costume. It's a cart before the horse problem. You want to pull so did this happen because of, after you've gotten them to be like, I mean, at
Some
least
sort
dip their
of,
toe
like,
in the
yes.
pool of culpability.
Yeah.
You cannot pull out the, this is the trump card of like, you said this and so bam. When they're like, up until this point, it's like, I have no specific memory. If you go, well, did you kill anybody? I have no specific memory. Well, if you were to kill someone, would you do it in self-defense? No. The foundation is not set. You're building the house on top of a spot that is marked for concrete that has yet to be even poured.
Yeah.
To complain about something. And that's when I go back to what I said sometime a little earlier, is there's always two sides to a story. And when you're afforded an opportunity to provide your version, that might explain things. But until we have all the pieces of the puzzle, we're kind of left with, me trying to, as if I'm a dentist, trying to pull teeth and getting some information from you and attempting to jog your memory.
I'm so sad because we're not going to get, I feel like if I keep stopping as much as I do, we're not going to get to the cookie jar metaphor, which is ultimately hilarious and confusing to all parties involved. But we're close. You'll put your hands in the cookie jar.
I feel like, though, the detective hasn't been trying very hard to get him to jog his memory because he keeps, like, it's not very, he's not pushing anything
right
specific.
And that's the thing. I don't know if he's just a good detective who has, because again, 48-minute interrogation is nothing compared to 2, 3, 6, 10. Like Cheyenne, what's her face, who killed her dad and her daughter, has like 5 hours of interrogation, and the first 3.5 are rapport building.
Yeah,
this is 48 minutes, and so we're just hitting the Cliff's Notes.
Bostonians don't fuck around.
Possible, but I think the point of this is like they have so much evidence. It's like he's willing to gloss over a lot of the shit because it's not just a matter of trying to get a confession. The half of the compelling narrative is getting them to spin a bullshit yarn, because if you get them to give a story that completely contradicts the evidence, you don't need a confession. So you go, okay, I don't need it.
Yeah, we're done here. Yeah.
The cherry on top of the cherry on top of the whipped cream on top of the sundae is if they can look at the evidence, they give you that, or rather, sorry, they give you the bullshit story first, they look at the evidence, they amend their story to kind of accommodate the evidence, and then they have a come to Jesus moment where they go, yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
But that's the gold standard. That's a silver bullet that kills 1 million werewolves. It doesn't happen, hardly.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific memory of having a hassle with the girl?
No.
You may have left, and she was pissed off to the point where she may have wanted to call the police.
No.
Can you recall anything like that?
I just answered that 4 times.
Okay, 4 times.
I just answered
You're
you
right.
4 times.
You're right.
I'm a giant dick.
4 times. You're right. I asked it 4 times. You answered 4 times.
You're right.
Fucking nailed me. You should be a detective.
Yeah, just be patient with me. It's not easy when the way we're dealing with this. Okay? Are you patient?
No.
So no specific memory, no hassles with.
Why would that
any
even be a
girls whatsoever.
question?
Not in the Westin Hotel, the Marriott Hotel, no problem.
I kind of feel like a lot of this too is like, since they know he's on the hook, because like he brought up the lawyer, he said, blah, blah, blah. We've been through that. So they know that, this largemouth bass has taken the bait and the hook is set. But the fight ahead is unknowable. Whether you're going to catch a rainbow trout or a marlin, you're going to have to wear that fish out. You're going to have to fight, you're going to have to pull, you're going to have to reel, and it's going to be a dance. It just feels like after this guy set the hook, he goes, great, I don't give a fuck. Like, there are some fishermen out there who go like, once the fish is set, it's like the clock starts ticking and it's a matter of time. That is the ego. The faster you reel in that fish, the better you feel as a human. But then you got detectives like this who go, once they feel in their gut that that hook is firmly implanted in that fucking largemouth bass's cheek and that there is no way, barring a miracle, it's getting away, and they go, all right.
I'm done.
They crack open a couple millers and they go, I got the time. Because they're not about the ego. They want that fish, not for the record, but for the flavor of the meat that they know they'll be sizzling over a campfire.
No problems? No problems? What does that mean?
I already answered this.
Okay, and again, because the tape doesn't pick that up, that's why I asked it once again.
P.S. Bill, the tape, which is probably still a tape because it's 2009, it doesn't register head movements. You fucking genius doctor.
The car that you're driving, is that listed to you?
No, it's listed to my father.
Your father's car. Do you have a second vehicle as well?
No.
No?
This is probably unwarranted, but a lot of things sort of correlate in the true crime community. This part reminds me of the Matthew Koberger case because he committed his horrible murders and he was picked up driving with his dad. But it was the same sort of situation where they were driving from state to state and the person in the car was completely caught off guard by the swarming of cops.
And the poor father.
Yeah, because like Megan and Koberger's dad, like imagine being in that situation where you go like, oh, are you getting pulled over for speeding? But it's not one cop, it's like 40 and they pull their guns and it's a fucking disaster.
Like I said, then I think the last interrogation we did, the one time that we've gotten pulled over for quote unquote speeding, which we weren't, I was like super sweaty and crazy and like stressed out because that was just the passenger.
But and imagine that going from like the nervousness of like a speeding ticket to like being then pulled out of the car, hauled into a station, and then shown like photographic evidence of the person you were just in a car with at the scene of certain crimes being like,
I'd probably have a stroke. Like
seriously.
Honestly.
But most of the time we're saved by our ignorance. Because Megan, if you listen to her interrogation, or rather an interview, she's saved by her ignorance because it's a slow.
Well, she legit had no idea this was happening because she wasn't around.
If she walked in on Philip killing a prostitute or a massage therapist, not to, sex worker shame. She walks in on him killing someone he met off of Craigslist. She would go, oh my God, this is horrifying, real life, irrefutable evidence I am seeing, and her mind would shatter.
Yeah.
But the interview is more of a walk into a cold water, and the second her genitals hit that water is when she goes, where did you get this?
Yeah. I can't imagine.
That you can tell us that might help us in what I'm asking you about.
I don't think so.
All right. And again, we're kind of at a loss here because you have absolutely.
You're not at a loss. You're at a loss.
I'm at a loss here.
But it's like a likenedness to.
So no clue, according to you, about what's been going on in and around the city of Boston regarding women who've been assaulted, correct? No clue.
Yeah, I haven't been.
No clue. Never seen anything in the paper?
No, that's true.
That's
correct.
Never seen anything in the paper, never seen anything on the news in the last couple of days?
No, I really don't watch the
Your
news.
girlfriend would not have brought it to your attention. Geez, look at this. I just saw,
No, I
nothing.
don't really watch the local news.
So no conversations with anything.
I already
with
said I don't
anybody
watch the
in your
fucking
circle.
news, dude.
Here's another caveat: the classic Nancy Brophy style. Because if, like, let's say the baseline killer or the freeway shooter or any of those guys, here's the thing. I would have heard about them if they were in my demographic. Like, they were in Phoenix. So if they were shooting random people where I lived at the time in Mesa, I probably would have heard about it. But they were in Phoenix, which is a major metropolis way far away from Mesa. If they were shooting people of my demographic, I would have heard about it because that's where the news spreads. Like, it's an organic thing. Humans spread information to the people they think need it.
Right, especially if you're in a place like a university or a high school or whatever. They'd have an assembly in high school like, hey,
and
this is happening.
Sort of walks that line because, like, if he were like an Ed Camper and killing college students, then he probably couldn't have plausible deniability because it would be on the college campus. Like, hey, the majority of the victims were college students, but because, and this persists to this day and probably into the future forevermore. Sex workers, the homeless, the marginalized of society will be the sick and the elderly of the gazelles.
Yeah, it'd be an endless, like, the vulnerable population, not vulnerable, but just the disposable population.
And it's beyond disposable because this also overlaps. This is part of the Venn diagram with true crime and lolcows. Because if you're a prostitute, you probably deal with the police on a semi-regular basis.
That's true.
They probably know you by name if you've been in the game for a while, and it's the same thing with a lolcow. And so when shit gets serious, when do the police know?
Yeah.
If you're a prostitute, a drug dealer, a lolcow, whatever, if you're a person the police have to interact with, eventually they're going to, whether they realize it or not, build up a tolerance to the bullshit that they have to deal with in regards to you. So whether you're a prostitute on the street who's constantly getting picked up for soliciting, drug possession, drug paraphernalia, or you're Cyrax and the cops are constantly showing up to be like, hey man, what the fuck? Like, they're going to build up. So if you disappear, they're going to be like, oh boy, another zany entanglement with ex-prostitute or ex-lolcow.
Yeah, I think I think I'm thinking too much into like SVU territory stuff because, like, I feel like in my mind, police officers and like sex workers and stuff have more of a relationship of not only just like apprehending them for things, but also like kind of keeping tabs on them to make sure they're okay. Also, because they let them back out again to like do it.
Your SVU,
I know, is totally not IRL.
Like the cops sort of bank on Hollywood's portrayal of
that.
Yeah. And you kind of want that, though. You kind of want a working relationship with those who are dedicated to breaking the law and those dedicated to enforcing it.
Yeah.
Because it's the irresistible force versus the immovable object. So I would expect some sort of symbiosis there.
Right. There's
the
not.
problem is you've got people who run the gamut of that spectrum from not caring at all to not even looking to caring too much.
And that's why I kind of think I agree with the lolcows stuff, but I feel like that would be a lesser on their radar than the outside sex workers, homeless people like to see things.
You are exposed to repeatedly, you're going to build a tolerance to. It doesn't matter if you're a lolcow or if you're a prostitute. If every other week or whatever, like if you go, oh boy, it's them again, if that enters your mind as a law enforcement agent, you have now designated them as, like, if they disappear, not consciously, obviously, but like if something happens, you'll go, not again.
Yeah.
Because we made stupid things illegal.
Right.
Of travel
No.
that may have mentioned as to what's going on here, right? What about outside the city of Boston? Any
You
hotel?
ever go to Foxwoods and kill prostitutes or massage therapists there?
Ever go to
Other than
Connecticut?
Foxwoods that you may
What
have
about physical therapists? You ever kill them?
visited lately?
No, other than Foxwoods.
No, other than Foxwoods. Have you been in Rhode Island at all lately?
Well, I go through Rhode Island to get to Foxwoods.
Do you stop?
As an aside, and I know we're at our 2.5 hour mark, it's crazy to me that, like, I mean, I'm from Connecticut. I don't think I have an accent, but New Yorkers have an accent, Bostonians have an accent, and Connecticut and Rhode Island people, I feel like, don't have an accent, but that's just me being from there. But I think David has an accent, and, like, his family have an accent
you
living
definitely
up
have an
here.
accent. Is the thing is like there are just like everything else. There's the hues, so you can sit in Connecticut and be like, yeah, Boston, New York accents coming out the ass. But me, I'm a non-regional dialect, and I can feel the same way because I'm sitting in Arizona. I feel like I have a non-regional dialect where I sit next to a bunch of southern and a bunch of northern states who have definite verbal tics. Inflections or whatever. But that's the thing. If you're in an echo chamber and you go, this is normal, and you go, oh, you've got an accent. Well, I don't. You're here. You have the accent. The accent is per locale, not per person. But we like to go like, oh, you've got, like, if I were to go to the South and go like, you all have weird accents, that'd be stupid. Because I brought my accent to their pond.
Yeah. But I, like, sometimes because I don't know, it's weird. Like, it doesn't happen often, but you've got some things that you go, oh yeah, there's definite. But like water.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's always common things. Like you can go in a conversation with someone for 45 minutes, and then you mention common everyday things like metal, water, kittens, anything like that, and you go, oh, so you're from Connecticut, and you go, how'd you know?
Because I don't say my T's.
You stopped?
Kitten mittens in the water.
Maybe get gas.
Okay, at a hotel?
At a hotel?
Yeah.
We wouldn't get gas at a hotel.
You wouldn't get gas at a hotel. One of my favorite quotes from this interrogation: we wouldn't get gas from a hotel. Yeah, I wasn't asking if you got gas at a hotel, Phil. Fucking Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil.
True crime loser, again, I'll drop his name. He brings up a good point. We almost had another Dr. Phil without the bedsheet exit.
Well, he wasn't going to be Dr. Phil
I
isn't
don't
an
think so.
oncologist, hematologist.
Don't
Cran.
think so.
It doesn't matter. He would
Crayon.
be a Dr. Phil. I don't think the real Dr. Phil is a real doctor.
How do you
Oh,
say
you don't think you're at a
crayon?
hotel?
Crayon?
Crayon. No. I said crayon.
Crayon.
My grandmother said Crayolas.
Oh.
No matter who made them, they were always Crayolas. If I went to her house and we were going to do art project with crayons, I say crayons. It was Crayolas.
Crayon.
Break open the box of Crayolas, she'd say. I said crayons.
Crayon.
Crayon. Crayon.
My grandma says film for film. For like, she's from Pennsylvania, but she says film for like photo film.
Film seems...
I say film. She said film.
Film. Here's the thing. If you add like the old I'm teaching my kid now that you clap on the syllables. Film. Film. There's no U and M.
Film. And the crick.
Photography.
Go to the crick.
All that stuff.
Can we have a stream when Dave takes one of those accent tests?
I don't know. I had no idea those exist, but I'll do it.
It does? I didn't know either. Good night, Alice and Marie Armstrong.
Good night,
I know
Allison.
it's been a
Thank
long
you for showing up and staying as long as you did.
2.5 hour
Jesus.
stream. Dr. Phil is my man's.
Oh, Jesus. I hope you just like tall, bald men and not smart people because you've barked up the wrong tree.
Hotel in Rhode Island.
I don't think so.
Okay, you seem to be getting a little frustrated.
Yeah, because you keep asking me the same question.
Well, I moved on from the Westin, and I moved on from the Marriott.
The Copley.
Now, in the state of Rhode Island, you say that you go to Foxwoods all the time, and I'm just asking if maybe you had stopped into a hotel in Rhode Island.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think I'm going
Film.
with?
I don't know.
What are your thoughts? Talk to me for a minute. Instead of answering all the questions, tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what you feel right now, because you seem to be getting a little frustrated with me.
Yeah, you're asking the same
And I can
fucking
understand.
question.
Really quick.
Detective.
This is a fun concept because you can use it at any point in the law enforcement pattern, sequence, process, whatever. From early on, as Phil here, where they go, well, what do you think? Like, let's say, maybe not Phil because he's an idiot. But if they're interrogating someone, they go, well, what do you think we should do to the person that did this when we find him? You can ask that as early as the first interview with no proof, or all the way to the end of Chris McNabb, who killed his 2-week-old baby. And the judge at his sentencing says, because he was the whole time, he's like, I didn't do this. He's fucking dumbass. Like, whatever. I didn't do this. I maintained my innocence. I did not kill my 2-week-old baby despite the fucking mountains of evidence. So the judge says, what do you think we should do to the person
Kill
that
him.
did this once we found them? Keep in mind, once we found them, the trial is over. We're at the sentencing. What do you think we should do to the person once we find him? We're at the sentencing hearing, Chris McNabb. I think you should put him under the jail. And keep in mind, the death penalty was not on the books for this case. So the judge clarifies and says, you think they should be given the maximum? He says, yes, sir. He says, great. Good news. You're getting the maximum. Put his ass away for the
Forever.
maximum for killing his 2-week-old infant. Whoops. Sorry.
I just like to point out Chris's accent when she says fucking.
Fucking.
What?
Bugging. The fucking.
I can understand.
Is there an accent on fucking?
I
So let
don't
me say
know.
this to you.
Apparently.
If in fact you are the guy in the photographs, that's one thing. Because you could just be simply that guy passing through the hotel, passing through the lobby. Somebody.
Because again, it's not. We're for the third time. I'm gonna triple down. It's not. We're not at the point where is there any reason? Again, if you could
Justification.
explain these pictures, we'd be in a better spot.
This
But-
is you. This is your nose.
Yeah, this is you in this Copley Marriott, the Copley Holiday Inn. If you could explain it, it would really help your situation there, Philip. But you have no specific memory of walking through there, despite the fact that, like, it's you, bitch.
That's out with your girlfriend at the Cheesecake Factory, walking through, going to a parking lot to get in your car to go home. It could be that simple. Or it also could be the guy who just left a hotel room where something went awry.
He could not be handing Philip, like, if you're going to be this stupid guy who's like, yeah, I'll talk without a lawyer, he could not, the detective could not be lobbing up a softer ball than he is right now. And Philip is like, no, I refuse to swing, sir. Fuck, Philip.
Apparently, when I got mad, I let some accent slip when I said fucking.
Listen, I still hear the accent, despite the fact she claims to have none.
And you're leaving there, and you are a suspect who has a story to be told. Whatever happened in the hotel room, that speaks to a certain set of facts.
It's the cookie jar
If you happen
detective.
to be the guy that's leaving that hotel
You're just waiting for that cookie jar before we end the stream, aren't you?
Basically.
you may have
It's such a good metaphor.
another piece of that story. And you
I mean, good in that it's hilarious, not that it's good and like functional.
It just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
just throw that on the table right now, and that may explain things. Or you could be, as we said, just simply that guy passing through.
Really quick. So this conversation has the air of a high school student afraid of talking about sex.
Yeah.
Like when you're an adult, you can go like, I want this, 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 and this. And if you're talking to another adult, they can go like, I agree and concur and would like to make slight modifications. And you go, great, let's fuck. But if you're in high school and dancing around the idea and nothing's really happened yet, but you're really interested, you'll do shit like this where you go, hey, maybe if you or if I, blah, blah, blah. It speaks to two things. Confidence and experience. If you've got confidence but no experience, you could walk into something and be like, hey, I want to sink my dick in you. Ta-da. And they go, great.
Great.
If you've got little confidence but a lot of experience, you can go, I know what's going to happen. I'd like to sink my dick in you. And you go, great. This is neither of those.
It's still the end result.
This is neither of those. And that's what's frustrating. You want the dick, right?
But
I feel like, how many minutes has this been? 35 minutes?
37 minutes.
I don't think they've gotten anywhere at all. In this whole 37 minutes, it's just been emails, addresses, and dates and nothing.
But
it doesn't matter.
The point of it is it's a tiered cake. Mm-hmm. The top of the cake with the bride and groom, the most luscious part that you put in your freezer, the eat a year later. That's the confession of like, yeah, I did it. Give me a cigarette and I'll show you the body where I hit it. We're not even on the same table as the cake yet.
No, we're at like the... Not like even the dinner.
He's waffling on the plate and fork issue. We're not like a year down the road of like, happy anniversary. Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. He's still like, a plate.
Westin Hotel. And again,
Westin Chandler Hotel. Sonichu, ring a bell?
The same guy who maybe passes to a hotel in Warwick. It could be. It could be, because it seems that maybe these are things you do. But it could also be more than that. And it could be something that, who knows what happens. Maybe some girls are pissed at you. Maybe whatever's going on, whatever your thing is, maybe...
Again, we've not made...
There's been nothing. There's been zero
here's
anything.
Here's the metaphor that I'm going to draw for you. What you want is a boat coming into harbor, slowly edging up to the dock, easing up, becoming the appropriate distance. You throw the mooring line, you wrap it up, and you go, great. Nice day on the lake. Let's have a steak. What this is the boat is 60 yards from the dock. It's out of gas. And the dude in the boat, who's like, dough the gas, has 50 yards of rope. So what he's doing is he's yelling to his buddy back at the dock, catch it. And he throws it. But there's 10 meters missing. So no matter how eager the friend, and no matter how robust the arm of the thrower on that boat, it is destined to fail. Mm-hmm. But he's stepping in and being like, hey, imagine if the part of the rope that didn't exist existed. How would you react then, Phil? I'll get to the cookie jar later.
Maybe, who knows? Who knows? Unless you throw it out there. If that's you, the guy that's actually been in some of those rooms with some of these females, and maybe...
Again, I'll harken back to this. It's the if-then concept as well. Mm. Conspiracy theories live off if-then. And it's a two-nail-and-board scenario. If the first if... that is the nails cannot support the then that is the board, you've built a bridge into the middle of nowhere as Wile E. Coyote, only to discover gravity 400 feet above the Earth's surface. Uh-huh.
Maybe they, are trying to set you up or something.
Are they setting you up?
Tell us. I
Are they setting you up?
Because I wasn't there. But if you say you're simply the guy that may have passed through, you don't even have a clear memory to be able to tell me that. You know? You do seem to frequent Foxwoods because you seem to go down there a lot, according to yourself, right? Is there any other reason other than just maybe I passed through? Do you have a thing, do you hook up with girls that you meet and you just don't want Megan to know about it, which is perfectly understandable. Over the years, a lot of times, guys sitting there, they want to tell a story, but they don't want to jeopardize.
The cheating thing has to come up a lot.
I imagine.
Like, if we just take society by implication alone, 50% of marriages end in divorce. If even half of those are due to infidelity, it would not be a stretch to be like, hey, a murder happened, and if you're in that area because you're fucking someone else, it's a legitimate thing.
Yeah, just tell us, and that's the thing.
No. Solid as a rock. I would never cheat on Megan. I would, however, shoot a prostitute for $180 because they're going to break my leg, Detective Harris.
Yep.
Relationships, they don't want to ruin an engagement. They don't want to end up in divorce court because they have these things.
In front of Judge Mathis, am I right?
On the side or something. So that may prevent them from being completely honest. And something like that, that's like a barrier in this business. If it's that simple, and that's what...
He's sadly super right.
Yeah.
It's amazing how, because like, whatever, let's wax philosophical for a moment. Marriage and all the things that come with it is just an agreement of ideas. And the fact that there are enough people out there that it's a trend that instead of divorce, murder is a more appropriate avenue of exploitation. Like whether it's religious, which is the fucking most hilarious to me. Like, God hates divorce, but he's cool with murder. Except divorce never made it into the 10 Commandments and murder did, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, Jesus, he would have been like, a divorce, but a murder? You and your loopholes. I'm Jesus. Come on.
That's what throws me off. You know, then trust me, the thing to do is just to be honest and throw it out there and explain why this is going on. Explain why you're sitting here in the homicide unit, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
And he's not wrong. Because if you were legitimately innocent, the police want to know that if they aren't shit. They want to know that they're wasting their time.
Right, because they don't want to, yeah, that's a huge, time suck.
Any case you look into, there is a billion ancillary interviews. One that there's a lot of footage for is like the Sasha Samsudin case. They interviewed ex-boyfriends, friends, all these people. And while most of them did give pertinent information, like one guy, Ben, that I think was an ex-boyfriend that she was texting, he gave a lot of information that was helpful. Mm. But he did that because he had it.
Right, and he didn't do anything. If you're
not looking to help or looking to hinder, you're not looking like Ben in the Sasha case, being like, yeah, take whatever you need, I'll give you whatever. That's someone worth spending time on.
Yeah.
Someone being like, I don't know, that's someone we're spending time on. Someone being like, I don't know, and I want to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's enough gray area that enough innocent people get caught in this mix that it sucks. But by and large, most people are going to be like, this is fucked. I didn't do anything. Why are we here? But I can't remember the guy's name now, and it's sad. He's completely innocent of the crime he was accused of. And they go, the police, rather, the interrogator goes, we've got video of the whole thing. And the guy who's innocent goes, great.
Let's
play
see
it. Use that. I am 100% for that. And the detective is like, well, what the fuck? But he's so dedicated to this innocent man being guilty, he blows past the fact that that's what an innocent man would say to be like, well, but you did kill her, right?
Yeah, you totally did it, so.
There's an explanation for everything, Things happen for a reason, Philip. We can't have back what happened, but we can make it right. And how do we make it right? Just by being honest. Just by being honest. When we start dancing around the truth, that's why things get all kind of discombobulated.
But you haven't asked him anything that would be anything incriminating.
If dancing around the truth is a traditional maypole where you are no more than 15 feet from the pole as you weave, the ribbons around it, this Philip is a man living across the country of the world's smallest maypole festival. We have not even come close to glancing off the outer edges of the universe that contains the truth.
You kind of look at me, you get frustrated. Hey, I answered that already. And that's what happens when you're dancing around the truth. I think you know that you may have been in some of these places. I think you know that. But you're just not clear as to how you want to tell me. And the best thing to do when the shit hits the fan, as I said earlier also, is just to man up. Look, this is what happened, but this is why it happened. It's not who I am. I didn't do those things. This is what actually happened. This is my story. I'm not a stupid little shit. I know what happened, and I know why it happened.
Given, the proper time and resources, I think that anybody is capable of reading other humans. I think that is what we are woefully underestimative of, if that's a word. Because, for example, the read technique gives you a bunch of techniques, actually, that are a Swiss Army knife of stuff. So you go, if this doesn't work, you can try this, 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 and this. When you are hunting prey like deer, you do things to prepare. You get camouflaged equipment. Maybe you buy deer piss to spread in your boots. But you learn your prey before you go out and apply the techniques. And interrogation seems to be like one of those things that could benefit from that, right? Where you go, okay, a hunter can take a bow, a knife, a pistol, a rifle, a club, any sort of weapon available to kill an animal, because they all could work hypothetically. However, a skilled hunter uses the one weapon they know will work in the right situation. They don't run through rock, club, pistol, rifle, bazooka. They know their target. I don't know why that's not part of the read technique where, if you're hunting whitetail, this works. If you're hunting criminals, these techniques work. And it wouldn't take, because psychology is, it is complex, but can be painted in broad strokes because trauma or humans react in so many ways, and it's a finite amount because you can either act positively or negatively. So it'd be semi-easily to get a beat on someone, at least in a general way, so you're not sitting here like Detective Harrison Phil being like, what about the legacy thing? Are you a good guy? Are you a monster? Is this an accident? Was it self-defense? Is anything ringing a bell here, Phil? Because it does feel kind of hollow. If you were given the opportunity to try to kill a deer with a rock or a club and a pistol and all these things, the deer's not going to sit around and put up with that shit. But since Phil is here in a room, he has to sit through each of the trials of fire. Like when Ernest goes to camp, you got the trial of the fire. Sorry, the stone. Oh my God. So when Ernest goes to camp, the stone would not break him, the arrow would not pierce him, and the blade would not cut him.
Okay.
But in this case, you're looking for, but different because you're like a warrior pure of heart. I'm sorry, I just like to talk about Ernest sometimes. It's the opposite situation where you want the first hit to strike. If the gazelle, the deer, the whatever you're hunting gets a whole bunch of missed opportunities because they're woefully, like, who's going to bring a slingshot? But they got to try it because what if?
Joe says they don't just ask someone if they can ever remember walking through the mall at Copley Place literally any other time than that one time 1 year ago to go to a sports bar to watch the Sox.
Yeah, hey, you were watching the Sox? Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember.
I can make it right by just being honest. That honesty is the key to, just move forward and it opens.
It's the best policy. It's the key to a lot of locks. It's the only way forward. It's the only way to give your family closure. It's the only way to give the victims closure. Honesty does so much. Mm-hmm. Though among that list is send your ass to jail, possibly for life. Yeah. So they're not lying. Honesty will unlock a lot of doors. Unfortunately, that door might be your prison cell and it might slam shut as soon as your ass crests that threshold. But tell you what, we've been going for
3 hours?
Just about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And we've gone through 40 minutes of footage.
Long story short, he kills himself before trial, so there's that.
The evidence was so overwhelming that he saw that there was no way...
Which I don't get because, okay, like I said before, Craigslist killer, he killed the girl. But realistically, like if you look back at the beginning of the thing, his lawyer, if he ever had one, could have somehow tried to do some kind of mistrial with the fact that they didn't tell him that he could get a public defender given to him.
Right. So Joe's right. We'd open that cookie jar. But I was going to say that by and large, the only people who extinguish themselves before trial are the ones that see the end as unassailable and have some sort of bullshit reputation. Mm-hmm. So, if Phil was not going through medical school, had the family he does, the girlfriend he does, he probably would have sailed through the legal system like anybody else, been, a white bread shitbag that was unnoteworthy. Yeah. And we probably wouldn't talk about him right now. Mm-hmm. But since he was, a big-nosed asshole with a silver spoon in his mouth who exploited a surface-level internet forum using zero deceptive methods to cover his tracks is why we're here.
Yeah.
Sure, there were probably a zillion people before and after him who used Craigslist to kill people. Mm-hmm. But who else not only used Craigslist to kill people, did it under 1 billion cameras, left a digital trail, had a gambling problem to the tune of hundreds of thousands,
which is what led him to doing the things that he did,
right?
Allegedly.
It just depends on what strikes a chord. So I'll bring this up: the Murdaugh case, Alex Murdaugh, killing his wife and son. Mm-hmm. Don't give a fuck. Don't know why. Could be because it's a dynasty. Could be because it was a corrupt family that's falling. Could be because the only victims were bred into that, so there's no real victims because they all cultivated that. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
Why does this case strike a chord with people when this one doesn't? I don't know. The Murdaugh case, I don't get it. The Gabby Petito case, don't care. Don't give a fuck. 1 million billion trillion people suffered more and greater and longer and had more compelling stories, were more worthy of human attention than Gabby.
Yeah.
But she was a nice little white blonde girl who had a mean boyfriend. Whoop-de-fuck!
Yeah.
There are people right now in situations that involve sexual slavery and torture and
Trafficking.
shit.
Yeah.
But we go, oh man, that Gabby, oh man, oh that Alex, he killed his family, and what a travesty. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a travesty. They lived high on the hog for generations in a town where they ran, based on political power alone. What a tragic tale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure sometimes their filet mignon was cold and the Murdaws had to go to bed just really disappointed. Meanwhile, anybody who got into David What's-His-Nuts' toy box never left alive.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it sucks that those people passed away.
Right, and that's the thing. You can't cheapen anybody's experience.
But the fame that they got at versus the ones
Right.
that don't.
Everything's relative. So you say, well, this relative to that is going to cast it in a different light. And it's just up to personal preference.
Yeah.
What makes it big? Because you can say, well, on one hand, you can say like the Green River Killer or BTK or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who, well, not BTK, sorry. Let's just stick with the Green River. The Green River exclusively prostitutes. Nobody cared until it reached critical mass.
Yeah.
Because you say, well, expendable members of society, homeless prostitutes, they die all the time. So that means you really have to work at it to become outstanding in your field.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can drink water. Who dies of hydro poisoning? Just that lady who tried to hold her wee for a wee.
Yeah.
Is she interesting for that? No. Is it sad? Yeah. Are there sadder things? Sure.
Probably. Yeah.
But the fact that we have that sniglet of like, hey, remember when that radio station made people hold their piss and a lady died?
Right.
Any other situation be like, take a piss, bitch. But I wanted that Nintendo. I don't know. We're a complex creature, and it's fun wallowing in all of our weird nooks and crannies. But that's all I got for you guys. It's been over 3 hours. Thank you so much for showing up if you did. That's Philip Markoff. We're hitting big with the Stephen McDaniel shit next.
Next Friday.
That's like over 2 hours of footage, I think. I don't know what's going to happen with that.
We're going to have a 4-parter in there.
It becomes diminishing returns.
Can we start partway through so that it's not like...
I don't know. We'll look into it. Moral of the story is the hair was there. Stiven.
Stiven?
Stiven.
Why?
Why, Stiven? They don't clean your apartment for a week? Stiven. Why? That's what we're doing.
Be sure
Anyways,
to check it out.
check us out. Look up the case. Also, look into more of if you are interested in the Philip Markoff stuff, look up Megan's interview. There's a lot of stuff revolving around this case. It's just a real slice of life because you've got a monster and a normal person.
In a sandwich.
Well, no, it's like
open-faced quesadilla.
It's kind of like, so Megan was an Alka-Seltzer, but she got dipped in wax. And so that, and then the wax was the, what'd you call it? The veneer that was
The
Philip.
facade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Philip was a glass of vinegar. And she was like a chunk of baking soda. But he was able to somehow get her coated in wax so that they could coexist.
Mm.
And it wasn't until someone came in, the detectives was like, boop, pop that wax open. And she goes, oh, fuck. World totally dissolved.
Yeah.
And it was
Crazy.
only because Megan and Phil did not belong together. She was, and probably is, just like a, like, haha, that's cool sort of person. And like, oh my God, because like, what a revelation. There are some things that sort of bring you into the reality of life.
Mm-hmm.
Because something big will happen, and you go, oh, wow, I should be on the lookout for that, and things like it from now on. It sort of opens your mind to the world around you.
Right. What a revelation and what a reputation now. Engaged to the Craigslist killer.
Because ideally, you want this shit to pop early. You want to go, whoa, I was taken advantage of, but not so bad that my life was destroyed. And I'll be on my guard from here on out.
Yeah.
Imagine being Megan, making it to medical school.
Probably 23-ish.
Adult on your way to like fame, not fame, but riches and like career prestige.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, nah.
Well, we don't know. She could have kept going on to medical school. You don't know. She didn't do it.
That's the thing. I don't know. Because
we have to look up whatever Megan McAllister.
Again, I'll bring up the lolcows. Because once you're famous on the internet, you have a following.
Yeah.
So who's to say she's not being hit up by trolls who are interested in this true crime?
Yeah.
Everyone in Cyrax's life is suffering. Everyone in King Cobra's life is suffering. The White Bowser, I'm sure, is having a rough time. Like, because you can't be like, hey, off limits, trolls, because she's a good one.
Yeah.
How are you going to know?
Right.
You can't tell a troll not to be a troll. Anyway.
Remember to park your car at the Harvard Yard.
Park your car at Harvard Yard and get a lobster roll. Fucking haul you off, get you fucking whatever. Guys, thanks so much for watching and or listening and or partaking in any way you did. I appreciate it. We'll see you next week for Stephen McDaniels.
Diving.
The hair was there. The hair wasn't there. Possibly did it in a tent he bought at RFI or RCI, RFI, REI.
REI.
Camping supply, REI.
REI.
Yeah. What, like the Cheesecake Factory for Philip is like Coleman Tents for Steve McDaniels.
Diving.
We'll get into it later. Bye, guys.
Bye.
For the try to
Fistful of Podcasts Radio.